what a year. What a great year. 1966. We're just going to play a little bit of this again. Whoa. Well, this is Bob Never. This is called Payday, and I'm in charge until someone else shows up and gets to say these terms, these declarations. Okay, so the great news is that because I have my archives back, I've retrieved my ammunition, which languished for 4 years to the day in New York City and Connecticut. I now have in my archives a booklet that says the top 200 hits from 1956 to 1982 by Neil Pate, published by Continental Records Company Limited, Box 2103, Bramalea, Ontario, Canada. Phone number 416-792-2048. So I must have gotten this 30 years ago, and it takes every year from 1956 to 1982 and lists the top 200 songs. This is an endless resort for all kinds of stuff you and I would never remember. Well, we got the list here. Hey, look at that. It's old Leon Isaac, already saying, location nowhere and everywhere. He goes, wild stuff, Bob. It's payday and I'm in control. No, you don't want to be in control. You just want to be in charge, Leon. Leave the others for the bureaucratic control mechanism. Well, great, good. He's liking it. The young boys like it. Okay, now what? Okay, in 48 hours, the big day comes, the big timing, the big half time in the precession, and guess what? I'll be the only guy on the planet who'll be on the air at that moment, the moment the day begins. I'll be here, and anybody else has the guts to share the same space, we'll be here to surf that 60-foot wave coming out of Greenwich Mean Time. We're a certain number of hours behind there, but we're going to take it from their point of view, their perspective, and be here. And who knows, depending on the energies of that surf ride, we just may never stop the show. We just may sail on into the white light of stupidity, the clear white light. Anyways, that music is so good. 1966, what a great year. Let's see. Here's Leon Isaac correcting himself. I'm in charge. And he says, I'm in charge with the exclamation mark. That's right. So, well, that's all I have to say. Just waiting, sitting here quivering, waiting 48 hours from now. Well, I got stuff to do. In the meantime, let's see if you guys can participate a little, call in. Oh, there's another post. Somebody's posting crazy. Oh, here's Tracy. Tracy, 168 out of Texas. I was only 5, but if I'd been listening to those songs, I would have been dropping some acid, too. Exactly, Tracy. All those songs were done on acid. Let's just try this one. It's a different mood. See what you think of this one. What happened? Uh-oh, I think we crashed the system. Bill didn't get to change it in time. Did we crash the system, Bill? That was stupid. See, if you have an ampersand in the title, and this is James and Bobby Purify. Oh, I should, and I was supposed to upload it. So we just may have crashed everything. Well, that's typical. It's going to be a lot more crashes in 48 hours. So, Bill, are we on the air? Did that screw up something? Let me know, Bill. Good, Billy. I think we have to hang up, Carolyn.
This This is the AchieveRadio.com World Service News, and this is Blaine No Brain reading it for you. An unusual object approaching Earth has now been identified as four-mounted Riders. Originally thought to be a small asteroid, the object has now been confirmed to be the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They are expected to arrive at our planet Friday at precisely 21:21 hours at Greenwich Mean Time. And now for the weather. Expect a high Friday of 2,075 degrees as a giant fireball engulfs the planet. This will be accompanied by supersonic winds, global earthquakes, and supervolcanoes. However, conditions will improve by Saturday as widespread low pressure of near 0 millibars moves across the area. Temperatures next week will gradually cool to near absolute zero as the sun goes out. This is Blaine No Brain wishing you all a most enjoyable catastrophe.
Hello everybody, this is Sky McKenna wishing you a very Merry Christmas and joyful holiday season from everybody here at AchieveRadio.com.
Okay, sorry about that. I got it carried away, and the point is that if you have that was a song called "I'm Your Puppet" by James and Bobby Purify, and has an ampersand in the title. And I learned today that I've got to get rid of the ampersands in any form in the title, or else it'll screw up Bill's system. Just a little glitch that he has unique to his system. Now, we had great momentum there. People were going, Shane from the Land of Oz, it's great to hear your lovely voice again, Bob. I'm in charge. The Great Gazoo, Bob, what happens in 48 hours? Well, it's something called Mayan Calendar Day, Mr. Gazoo. Mr. Gazoo spends a lot of time, I think, processing video and musical information. He just has no visual perspective. He doesn't know that a lot of people freaking out about the calendar, Mr. Gazoo. Apparently on December 21st, 2012, a dramatic alignment of the sun, earth, moon, me, you, Carolyn, and everybody else is going to be lined up like a straight ruler and resonating like a moire overlaid on top of each other like one big cluster, cluster muck, and that will apparently affect your oxygen intake. That's the issue. And if it, just like it says in the Church of the Subgenius, if Bob's not on the air when the X's arrive, and we must this day, X Day, December 21st, 2012. If I'm not on the air, you're out of luck, buddy, because only I have the vibration that allows you to survive an oxygen-less situation. Just look at Sheila Kern's painting, After the Thunders. Go to SheilaKern.com, Kern, and look at that painting. That's the formula of what's going to happen as a result tomorrow. And then Deb comes in. Deb from Idaho says, Bill, you are too RNA'd, no brain. Well, by the way, that thing Bill's playing by Slane, No Brainer. Okay, so Deb's saying that, Bill, you have been affected by the RNA to make that funny little commentary on what's happening in 48 hours. Blame No Brainer. I just wanted to say that the humor of him doing that, and then me juxtaposing Bobby Hebb song, Sunny, thank you for the wonderful day, or whatever the words are, Sunny. So Sunny was coming in after a disastrous inventory of the effects preceding the causes that blame, no blamer put in there. And then we got back into Kicks by Paul Revere and the Raiders, and then We Ain't Got Nothin Yet by the Blues Magoos. And we're doing well. I think we're giving you a taste of the excitement that's going to come up in 48 hours. So, Greg Gazoo, is that answer your question? Much happens in 48 hours. It's when we sail into the new world, the new being of the new Akasha. Carolyn's yelling out, the new civilization. Well, we can include all levels of society, all levels of organization. Primitive society, geometrically concise society, civilized society, industrialized society, post-industrialized society, and society. And then the mystery landscape, made figure society, which is what I'll be surfing. Let's see, any other points? No. We are going to get to work now, though. Enough of this. Let's get back to the verbal, the logocentric universe. We're going to play what we failed to continue last week because we had James Kidney from Fringe on for 5 hours with a fantastic ending that we all agree behind the scenes, including James, that Ion intervened and turned on James's car horn. Yep, it obviously was an ionic action. And James will be back, I guess we could say, in February after we've seen the finale, the Armageddon, the Apocalypse, the denouement of Fringe on January 18th. We'll bring James back on. And James was telling me a day or so after last Thursday night that he had a whole bunch of other themes that he would like to have talked about. And I said, yes, we didn't go into really what it is to act in our time. When everybody's an actor in global theater, what is acting? What's real acting? What's acting as an anti-environment? So he agreed we can pick up on those themes the end of January, 1st of February, when it's appropriate to discuss the, thankfully, conclusion of the Fringe series. It's just weighing us down, this dull, dark, seasonal stuff. It got a little nice in the last episode, the latest episode. Got it nice with the little I can't say, Karen's listening, she hasn't seen it yet, but something happens, and it gets Olivia all perky again. Perky in the last minutes of the show, there's the live, bright-eyed Olivia that we used to enjoy. Okay, so all the sound effects are registered, and we're going to go into there's a great conversation between Ion, a bunch of McLuhanites, a bunch of old McLuhan fuddy-duddies who are not used to having an omniscient know-it-all in their midst. They didn't know the McLuhan mime know-it-all all the time. So here is, and hopefully this leads into a tetrad on McLuhan. No, a tetrad on Ion. Just a second, I gotta check my facts here. There's a bulletin coming in from Mayor. Mayor saying, Mary Blissmass. Sheila's saying, one word. My reaction to this news, she's talking about some recent, I'll read you what I sent out to the secret team. I announced today, I've retrieved my ammunition, ... 4 years ago on December 11th, 2008, the day Bernie Madoff was arrested, in brackets. Remember that rainstormy Thursday in New York City, in the bracket, 5,040 pounds, or 133 boxes of my Gutenbergian archives were hauled off to Shelton, Connecticut to languish. Well, 4 years to the day, December 11th, 2012, all of it arrived at my doorstep on Maui just a week ago. Then I wrote to my colleagues, it took a week to organize the archives, but now I'm ready to use this Noah's Ark of the best of the 20th century towards your edification and bliss as you head into the mystery landscape of 2013. Sheila's reaction, one word comes to mind to describe my reaction to this news, delicious. Oh, and here's Will. Will, I didn't know everybody was so involved with my Noah's Ark, but a lot of psychic people in my bailiwick. Will Erickson, who made the recordings of me in Walking Around Wailea on November 11th, 2010, he says, fantastic, I've been waiting for this. These people have been waiting for this stuff. Oh, by the way, I sent out to the other core team, send me your phone number, Skype name, if you want to be included on the Chief Radio conference call tonight. Bill will contact you around 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or up until 9 p.m. if you prefer. Or you can just phone in at your pleasure, and I'll list the numbers. So that goes out to the regulars. Now, back to the issue here, just preparing my cone here for a little practical suggestion. In my own footnotes to myself, last payday, there it is. You click on this, so 4/15/46. Lucky I noticed it wasn't right. 4/15/46, 4/15, 4/17, 4/14, 48. That's close enough. Okay, all signs ready. Here we go, guys. A little verbality, and we'll get back to the music if the crowd demands it. All right? If you demand the music, we provide a lot.
Do not think.
No.
Yeah, and George and Gerd were wrong. He wanted you to, above all, he had the quote right there in from the Bible, above all, you must perceive. Perception, not think. That's why it says in medium massage, there's no inevitability if you are willing to contemplate. He doesn't say think about, but contemplate. That's not thinking.
Yeah. Well, it's
well, you know, it's funny. That's the first thing that George said.
Well, George was wrong. He meant something that I'm getting at, but you don't use the word think.
No,
but George said the very first thing George said.
References to that.
The very first thing George said was it's all about perception.
Yes, you're right. He did say, and that's why I didn't object to him saying think, because I knew he meant that when he used the word think. But he certainly didn't mean conceptualizing.
It's not an unreflexive act. It is definitely, there's the second look. I mean, that's the preservation of the second look. The
second look was caused by the phonetic alphabet. It was a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, and totally, and that's I think the one of the services of the phonetic alphabet that McLuhan fought desperately to preserve.
Say again? What? Say that again?
That was right on the heels of any club that have me as a member I wouldn't be a part of. Yeah.
Andrew, did you say that Mac was trying to preserve the phonetic alphabet? Is that what you were saying?
Not in its totality, but definitely there are services to the phonetic alphabet that McLuhan definitely fought to preserve.
Bullshit.
No, there's a good point to argue about, to think about, to contemplate, Andrew. Restate your position.
Yeah,
I know what Andrew's saying. I know what Ion's saying.
We love to play. It's funny. You may get somewhere. Dig it out. Dig it out. Dig it out.
Yeah,
Throw the ball, George. Throw the ball.
Well, why else would you write our book, among other things?
Well, he recants anyone he ever wrote.
He what?
He recants anyone he ever wrote.
So to offer something and to negate it doesn't necessarily deprive it of its immediate propping up of something for its services.
Yeah, there was an immediacy to it.
At the moment.
At the moment.
All he was doing was using the tools that were available at the time to express his ardors or ideas. I mean, he had nothing really invested in books per se. It's just that it was like, if he could have made videos, he would have done that.
He would have used all media, and that was the real action. He'd mime tactility, which is not a sense, but the interplay and the programming all the senses. He wanted to program them all. And aware of the effects of each one as he did it. So it's quite comprehensive what he was doing.
And the outcomes that they purvey.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but he didn't really write books, did he? And he wasn't like he was a writer. He was just a person who was using that medium, and he was doing what I was doing, just dragging all kinds of shit into it, throwing it in a format that was easy to do at that time, and throwing it out there and see what happened.
And he said he did that.
That's not the way Eric tells the story.
No, that's right. Eric doesn't tell it that way, does he? But back to it's accurate, Buzz. He says that you write about TV hand grab bag, which is how he wrote on Understanding Media. That's why it's dramatic, not epic. Eric is in the epics level of the Gutenberg Galaxy, the literary people. As a matter of fact, in Eric's book, Electric Language, he says and emphasizes the epical. And no one's ever said that about you, Eric, and you just better check this out, Eric, what I just said. You're stuck in the Gutenberg Galaxy epical phase. Don't get the dramatic. Though maybe by now he's tuned into the dramatic.
Well, now here's the thing. Eric is Mac pushed to the extreme.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Introvertedly so.
Right. What do you think of this, Eric? You're getting a private reading right here in front of everybody.
Eric
full frontal non-physical nudity. Take it off, boy.
Full frontal. But there was a good point there, Buzz. You're talking about the temper. Oh yeah, New York Times article, January '67, I think. Richard Castellanos, poet, conceptual poet, and archivist in New York City, interviews McLuhan, and McLuhan says. Concepts, after, going on about percepts over concepts, he says, concepts give people a temporary grip on reality. And he knew his books would be interpreted as conceptual. Oh, he made the theory, the medium is the message. So he knew his books would give people a conceptual grip on reality. It was like a medicine, an anesthetic, while the whole tsunami happened. So that's how he did his book.
LSD.
Yeah, LSD.
Yeah. I mean, he never really sat down and wrote a book. He dictated, he grabbed quotes from all kinds of stuff, he dragged Harley in and threw pictures into stuff. You know, he was a man.
He was a man on the run. He had a role. He had to speak to people. He was a manager. All over the place.
Well, yeah, he
didn't have time to write books.
He was an entertainer. Yeah. He was an entertainer. He was trying to be entertaining by using the media of his time to point out the changes in the media that was coming. You know.
Well, let me add something to that, Buzz. He was a particular kind of entertainer. He said, my method is the method of Pat Paulson. If you remember him, he comedically ran for president of the United States in 68 or so.
Right.
That's exactly what McClellan was doing. Comedically running for president of the United States or any authoritative position where you can implement the real rules of the power.
Right. And it just sparked in my mind the idea that Bush Jr., you know, W, was Pat Paulson, you know, done as a real thing.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good one. Good point.
Yeah.
You know, that was Henry's boy, wasn't it?
Oh, he's citing Henry Paulson, the Secretary of the Treasury. Henry Paulson. No, Henry was Pat Paulson's boy.
There you go. Henry was Pat Paulson pushed to the extreme, whereas Bush was just a parody.
Okay, or parody thereof, yes.
Well, that's effective. You had the phatic George Bush and the emphatic Henry Paulson.
Right.
And the tactile position behind it was me, with Ion lurking in the wings to create the global cult.
But it's perception and to perceive. Like, that's only one pole of the other aspect that McLuhan doesn't talk about, which he shuts out, of poetic exegesis, which is fundamentally orientated towards one thing. Ion, do you want to tell me what I'm about to say?
Well, if you don't know, you certainly won't believe us.
I know what I'm about to say.
It's hard to get Ion to play games. He'll tell you later when you don't expect it.
Yeah, sweet. So the other pole is judgment, right? And so that's the pole, that's the invisible pole in McLuhan's work, right? So perception in and of itself has got no end. There is no, this flux nirvana thinking nonsense.
No, that's the Bergsonian flux that he thought Lewis was a good enemy of. You mean judgment, you mean precision.
To judge and to render in
the distance between the priest and the elders is what you're trying to say.
Now, that's a pretty incredible statement, guys, if you knew what it referred to. So the elders are what you people probably are digging. The priest is the authority versus power. Elders would be power, Ion. Priests would be authority.
Other way around.
Oh, elders are authority.
The other way around. Yeah, the
and the priest is power. Now you're getting into tiny note chart. I do have priests besides McLuhan.
Oh, we told y'all that's where it's going to end in tears. That's exactly right.
But I'll veer to the left and get out of there.
4B or AB or BB, yes.
Yeah. I'm going to head over the Thompson quadrant. Okay, so we're out of there. That was close. We're in the Thompson quadrant where there's a teacher. Okay, so Andrew, pursue this. He says priests versus elders. Figure out what he means so you relate your judgment to that.
Or disagree. That's all right.
Or disagree, Andrew.
You have the right to be wrong.
Yeah, no, I concur. No, it's I can be neither right nor wrong. It doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't mean anything in my own personal mythology.
Good. I like that. Good. You just were channeling your non-physical there, Andrew.
Be careful. They'll call you a member of Bob's cult.
I've already been tired with that brush already.
Yes.
Less is hard.
Pursue it, Andrew. Priests versus elders.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that's the point of distinction with where I was pointing out where McLuhan would not have pursued the trajectory that Ion laid out, which is fair. Ion doing different things, but I'm just saying that it was that when you readmit that other pole of judgment, which is the...
Now listen to this, Andrew. Ian has said many times at Cash Flow, unlike Marsh McLuhan, we're trying to tell you something. If there's anybody who's judging people, it's Ion, but in a very complex, not your conventional literary way. It's a very subtle judgment. And Ian has said we got a few days before you get off the bus.
Well, a more genteel way or specific way to say it, it's soon coming the moment where you're going to shit or get off the pot.
You think that's happening to humanity? That you're judging. You're making that call.
We don't think.
You see it already happened.
We know.
Well, pursuing this whole idea that Ion has laid out, it has occurred to me that all these events that we're seeing, this tremendous changes in the environment and the economies and all that, really reflect the thinking of humanity in general, which is all has been thinking for at least the last 20, 30 years that the end is near. Now this, or maybe even for the last couple thousand years, but now with the hypermedia thing, that thought is being amplified and spread, and these events I think, reflect that kind of change in the consciousness of humankind.
Well, it has to do with the chip body. You've had lots of great big old earthquakes. This world has been quaking and shaking since you've been baking. The only difference now is you got a couple 100 million people tweeting their twats regarding every little bit of flatulence in the world. It's no different. Sure. There's no more calamity than it's ever been calamitous in these. You had these, San Francisco was a fishing village. They had lots of shaky. Well, all that happened is their buoys got bumped around. Then you start building these castles and cities in the sky, and you start shaky, and all of a sudden there's reigns of terror and blood in the street. It's no big whoop to us.
Well, that's what McLuhan said. He said the condition of man never changed, but the conditions for the artist changed.
Well, plus, I think the distinguishing factor here, though, is that, when Pompeii happened, there were a hell of a lot less people around, and the ability to communicate about it was a hell of a lot less than it is now. So now it gets amplified, and, that amplification creates a mindset that seems to be circulating through the planet right now.
I'll give you a little reference. Hold on, Ian, just for the McLuhan part. You look up explorations. Look up radio versus TV and the absent-minded. I think it's that essay. McLuhan ends it by blurring his statement into a Finnegan's Wake quote, and he kind of doesn't make the distinction, so it might have been intentional or a misprint. But it ends the quote by going amplify. Just want to show you that.
And the example for today would be, wait for it, winning.
And then grinning.
And grinning.
Cool. You know what that refers to, Buzz?
I need to apologize
for
dropping out.
You're forgiven.
Andrew, you keep blocking out right when the good stuff said. You're going to have to listen to this tape, go all the way through. You're missing the fucking nuggets.
Well, that's what I like about the synchronicity of this. When I have to listen to it afterwards, I always hear the dropouts and the bumps and the poops and all that stuff right at the right time.
Yeah.
Like there's a horn blows and somebody says something significant, or somebody drops out and the bell dongs just as something significant is said. I've noticed this before in other things.
No, you're right. You're right. I noticed that when I re-listen to Tailgates. You're right. It punctuates.
Yeah. Right. It's a kind of a synchronistic punctuation that I've noticed this in other things, of course, but I mean, it's also very noticeable in these things.
Because they go on so long, you have the opportunity for them to happen.
Yeah, well, I'm always tuned into that shit anyway. I'm always listening to the sounds around me punctuating what's going on as I'm traveling through this thing.
What would you call that, Ion, if you thought of anything, if that could be labeled, what would you call that tendency?
Living.
Yeah, that would be right.
Yeah.
Finally, we agree. We have all along. We're just waiting on you.
I see.
That'll hit you about 3 o'clock in our morning.
Well, and actually in basic stuff, Ion, I don't think you and I are that too far off. But when you get out,
not at all, not at all, and that's fun because it's not. Actually, it's closer than you think. and the whole.
Well, I think we're pretty close. That's why I keep telling Bob I've heard this shit before. You know, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the problem, Buzz. You're referring to what it was before. There's an ongoing Howard Cosell commentary. The role of the artist is to update the dialect of the tribe. Ion is the voice that's mixing with the other voices, and that fine-tuning is faster than you could make the YouTubes. That's what you should be aesthetically involved in. It doesn't cost you anything.
I'm fine-tuning I'm fine-tuning my own shit. In my own loony.
Oh yeah, that's
that's
what we're all doing, and that's all you can do now. But when you get up in the morning and look at the news and all that, look at what Ion says about what you're scanning in the mortar world. You'll find it quite dramatic.
That has nothing to do with Buzz or any of the other entities. That's just my brain wants to suck up.
Yeah, that's the brain. That's the outer kingdom.
My chemical body wants to drink coffee.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it is. It's nothing to do with you. It's another reason it's in the cult. Right. This is about the world of mortar that Ion is interacting with and sculpting and carving the greatest artists right now alive. Because
and
nobody can keep up.
You find validity in NPR news.
No, I don't find validity in it. Again, it's just something it's some relaxing noise to do yoga by, you know? It's not.
But we should note that Ion remembered that you said 3 hours ago about the NPR news. He was listening. That was before.
Well, I actually don't listen to the news shit. I listen to the interviews and the artsy shit and stuff like that. It's just phatic bullshit to, you know, keep my mind doing something.
That your brain requires. Well, Ion is just phatic bullshit, but very perceptive and has an emphatic agenda.
No different from my agenda.
That's true. I would agree with that.
Good. And we say wonderful. Because the more and more you come into your place of power, the less and less there's required of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I've been in my place of power since I was born. You know, it's like, yeah.
That's true, Buzz. But I find the way to explain it is that Ion's here to teach you how to talk and how to talk and engage the mortar and see how it goes, and yet not be hypnotized by it. You're making YouTubes is your talk in response to the mortar world. And Ion is engaged in mortar for the first time to show us how to talk about it.
Yeah, but see, I began doing the language thing back with NLP in the early 80s, you know. I'm fully aware.
We're not talking that language. We're talking about collective voluntary ESP responding on the autonomic level. Like I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
What you were trying to describe 3 hours ago, how you make your videos, is like autonomically, and Ion would add the point about it's the, what's the other system? The lipid system? The lipids are in the lampic. What's that third system?
The lymph.
No, there was what is it, Ion? The sympathetic, parasympathetic, and the
visceral nervous system.
Oh, there's that, recognize that fucking voice. Yeah, this is James from Australia. Did you come in an hour ago and speak, James?
No, I just came in that second.
Oh, okay, because you said, I knew there was I thought you were there, but what is the third system?
Let's see.
The limbic.
Yeah, that's it.
The limbic. Yeah, what you're describing is either the autonomic buzz or the whatever the other. What was the one that wasn't autonomic? That wasn't the nervous. What?
Well, he said
the spinal. Nervous. What are the goddamn three fucking systems? Autonomic, limbic, and
visceral nervous system.
Visceral, right. You got three aspects there, Buzz. It'd be interesting to know which one you're emphasizing as you douse your videos.
Well, again, try to define you. I don't take the Buzz chemical body as being Buzz or any of the other names that the thing has, It's just a fucking spacesuit that I'm walking around in. Whoever I am, whatever the fuck that is. That has nothing, that's, what it does and what I am are two different things.
Well, are you complaining or bragging?
I guess I'm just stating a fact.
No facts here.
Right. You know, this is my experience. I realized a long time ago that this chemical body was not whatever the essence of whatever this is. Whatever it is, I don't know. That part I can't define, but I do know that the chemical body is not me.
What is it? What is the insight here? Because we know the chemical body refers to the physical, and the physical is all there is, according to Ion, and it's here forever. So, Ian, what would you say the insight Buzz is referring to in his own life that he had a long time ago, as opposed to what he can learn now or not?
A river in Egypt.
A river in Egypt.
Well, I don't think I'm denying anything. I'm accepting the reality of what it is. There's this thing called the chemical body, and it seems to be real. It's not. And but for sake of discussion and all that, you have to kind of pretend that this thing is somehow you, but it certainly isn't.
Okay, Ian says that what you see is not real, what you don't see is real. So the part of your body you can see is not real, but the part of your body that you can't see, that is the most real and forever, and it is physical, whatever I could mean by the word physical. Non-physical was an invention by us because we couldn't take being in the physical, but the physical, we couldn't take the eternity.
Well, you separated yourself from your power, and then you used the rest of your what you call lifespan or generations to validate and find the breadcrumbs that you left for yourself on how to get back into your place of power, which is where you originally forfeited that place of power from your beginning place. That's all.
Yeah. But where's this assumption that there's a loss of power? There's no loss of power. Everybody is creating their thing all the time, regardless of whether you're aware of it or not. You're doing it.
Absolutely. So then what's all this puffery about trying to figure all this out? Then you'd know who you are.
I'm not trying to figure anything out.
Oh, yes, you are. You're watching and scanning the media.
I'm just watching and scanning the thing that I'm walking around in. I have no idea.
Well, then you're controlled by it. You should. I challenge you to not watch the media anymore.
No idea is not obtained from a place of I already know.
Okay, so we ran a little experiment there. If some of you more astute regular listeners noticed, you've already heard this. This was played 2 weeks ago. And let's just see if anybody... Yeah, because we had James last week. And, what would it be? 2 weeks, 2 shows ago. That would be... James was the 13th. So a week ago. You were right. It was only a week ago, 2 shows ago, December 11th. The point is look at this, Shane. Hey, Bob, didn't you play this particular clip a week or so ago? Very good, Shane. Very good. Now, here's the experiment, Shane. Yes, you heard it before, but did you get nothing out of hearing it again? Is it that bad, Shane? This is the dilemma of electric life we live. We prefer constant stimulation, slight newness. We don't have time to go into the details, and replay requires depth awareness in terms of conceptual Gutenberg effect. So we don't like to do that. So Shane, you're going to have to tell, you fell for this. You're going to tell me why you were happy to hear it played again.
Shane will have to call in.
Yeah, he'll call in once he gets up or whatever it is. It delays him. He never gets into the third, fourth hour. So now we have Robert in Tottenham on the line. Let's see if Robert is still clear from his RNA drops. If he's not, we're going to go to some music. But I will not be repeating the next section. I'm sorry, Shane, if it was painful or anybody else, but it was a little experiment on perceptual intuition, living at the level of cloned ESP that the electric environment is. We know that something's being repeated, and we don't want repetition. We want new stimulation. But if you're a full-blown student, who's giggling there?
That's me, Bob. Yeah, I'm in the code to James there. How you doing?
Oh, how you doing, Bobby? Bobby of Tottenham. Let's just look at your message. But I was just almost my sentence. So, no handle the repeat, maybe not Shane. So, look, here's Shane. He's commenting. I got how pissed off Buzz was. Then you got it? You mean that's all you need to get? You What about looking at it again and finding out that Buzz maybe wasn't as pissed off as the first impression of the acoustic experience implied? Questions plaguing the attention span of the young person today. Now, we look back at Robert. Robert of Tottenham said, a little while ago, "How's it going, Bob? It's Sleeping Robert here. What's the topic this evening, buddy? Soma? Fringe? Books?" Well, what has you've now listened to at least a half hour since you've emailed. Well, what is the apparent topic, Bobby?
I think the topic is a lot of it's to do with Buzz, isn't it? With what he's been doing with the charts and his art, and also it's just about the whole tribe of people that are around you, like James. How far you can reach Australia. Me, for example, here in Tottenham, and also I would say it's I don't know. I heard a bit of swearing before, so I'm not really too sure.
Who's swearing?
Well, he was swearing, I think, because I often anticipate whenever I hear Buzz sharing, I think he's going to swear, but he's like a big teddy bear, isn't he? He's such a cool guy. And his videos, I just noticed I'm still on his radar, so I noticed a picture of me in one of his videos. I went through all of his videos for about 2 hours, and then I eventually found myself, yeah, his
that's
videos
nice.
are really
but
good.
Let's go back. Let's
his nemesis,
go back
who he trained, did he make the video for you? Ill Propaganda?
Okay, first of all, I missed the first person you were talking about. Maybe it was Buzz. You opened up saying somebody's paintings. Who were you referring to?
Oh no, the art of the videos. I mean, if you go into Buzz's new videos, you'll see the colour has just been. Again, after watching Ill Propaganda's video with you in it, it's almost like the tutor has superseded.
Are you talking
teacher.
when you're saying the YouTube with me in it? Are you talking about advertising? Advertising? That one?
Yes.
Okay. Ill Propaganda didn't make that. That was made by Mark Farina back in 2009 or 10, and it's part of a trilogy, which we hope to get the other two available. No, that's me with the silly white shirt and the red collar reading from Take Today. That was recorded in May 2008. So Buzz Ill Propaganda did not do that unless he altered advertising. And he took an excerpt from it.
I thought that was remade by you guys, and you'd kind of done a collaboration. So it seems so new, and you look really young in that video as well.
Well, you should see me now. I look so young, I could pass as my son. Or maybe even my daughter when I'm looking cute. I look cute sometimes, Robert. Very cute sometimes during the day. Carol's always commenting, "Oh, you're cute right now." I change all through the day, like a chameleon. And you're cute. You're real cute right now, Bob. Oh, really cute. What is it? 2:20 p.m. Hawaii time. She knows the time.
I think it
Robert,
must be the lifestyle. It's definitely not the drops that are doing that, because I look in the mirror and I don't see any improvement from taking the drops. I just feel great.
Yeah, so that's better to go that way, because what you see is not true. Don't go by what the mirror shows you. That's a delusion. That isn't accurate. Let's just see what Shane has to say. Hey, Robert, I can tell you're different. You're giggling a little more intelligently now. I can tell. You're responding.
Seems like I'm rabbiting, yeah.
What?
I say I've had 14 drops, I think. So if it seems like I'm rabbiting, then that's why I've doubled it just to come on the show.
Okay, good. All right, Shane. Shane is on conference with us. What do you have to say, Shane?
Well, I just wanted to defend myself, I suspect. Not at all.
You should.
I just want to point out that I was the only one astute enough to notice and report in that there was a repeat. And I thought, thank you. But I don't think there was any point in replaying it, because although it was good, there's so many other, items in the archive that we could be listening to.
Oh, it's coming up. There's lots of good stuff coming up.
Is it?
I'll move this past the repeat part now. I'll move it up to, I know where we were left off at the 47 minutes left mark. I started at the, minute, an hour and a bit left. But I was curious to see if anybody noticed it. Look, we've got endless hours. But the point is, can you redeem any interesting point about it in your response?
Well, yes. The thing that I noticed again today was that Buzz seemed to be really grasping. He felt like he was really out of his depth, and he was kind of defending himself beyond recognition. And I noticed a little bit of that the first time, but I really noticed it this time.
Yeah, that's good. See, now Buzz, because he did not continue listening to Ion for the next 2 years, he missed the changes. He was responding to what he thought Ian was saying at that point. And Buzz he's done meditation at a certain group. You go around the world and you go to their retreats and you don't talk for 10 days. I don't know what the name of the cult or thing is. He's done that. I met him in 2008 when he was doing that. So he goes into meditation. Yes. And the point is that he thought that kind of awareness is what Ian was talking about. Well, first of all, we got to deal with the fact that Ion's a hologram. First of all, and you don't know that until you get into the final months last year. We got 12 seconds. I hope you guys, Bobby and Shaney, will stay with Robbie here, me, Bobby Dobby, and we'll see what great music I will play shortly after a 5-minute break. Here we go.
YouTube.
Deleted.
Okay, that last song was the Cowsills-Indian Lake in 1968. And then the song before that, Deep Purple with Hush in 1968. Now, that's 2 years later from the great year, 1966. So let's go back to 1966 and see, contrast and compare. Had Deep Purple and Cowsills taken us a notch down after this? Yeah, they deserve that applause. So that was the Seeds from 1966 going into 67. They actually made the single in 1965. Now look at that, the energy of 1966. Now, is it because Frank Zappa shows up in July 1966 with his first album? Did Frank put the extra vibe in there? And if you listen to his first album, Freak Out, you see that his guitar playing sounds like this garage punk of the Seeds, the Yardbirds. Did he purposely make his guitar sound like that? Was it the only sound that the amplifiers of the day could make? Very interesting situation, how much Frank put on the teen audience for his larger design of creating ionization. That's right, Frank was one of the prophets of ionization. So, back to Bobby in Tottenham and Shaney in Australia. We're talking about the problem with, oh, look at this, Michael in South Africa. Rockin' music, Bob. Every track a winner. Loving the show. I'm in charge. That's right. We want to empower you to feel you're in charge. Then Patio says, the Mum Ion Buzz episode is always on the all-day Ion channel. That's interesting. I'll have to report over to Ginny about that. It's all you hear. All-day Ion channel. Okay, we got to check that out.
Did Shane make the connection? Did you hear the connection with the Men at Work song there? Well, I've never heard of the Seeds. I know, obviously, this track must have been around when Frank Zappa was about, so they were influenced by FM, but the riff that was in that track was definitely from the Men at Work song. The Do You Come From... Yeah. Did you hear that? Did you make that, Shane? Did you notice that?
No, I didn't. No. But they've recently been in trouble, or they had to pay some royalty fee for supposedly copying a riff from one of their most successful tracks from a song from decades ago. I can't remember the name of the song, but that was about a year ago.
Did you know that, Bob?
No, I didn't know that. Maybe Robert's talking about what they had to pay for.
Could be. Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't know about that either. I just heard that riff in that track there, and I was thinking, wow, that was at number one for weeks.
You're onto it. You're onto it, Bobby.
It's very popular, though, isn't it? It's like you said about the Android meme, Bob. It's people hear things and then they re-assimilate it to how they understand it.
That's right, and because of the information overload, you can get away with a lot of repeats, rip-offs that no one knows about. I had thought about that. If you want to be a rock critic, you notice that's what they do. They will hear a new album, then they'll say, "Oh, this is replaying the Seeds or redoing this and redoing that." Their expertise is they can hear the riffs from previous decades and previous bands. And they'll criticize the bands for just being, like a Cowsills retread or something. That's
wrong. I would say that that's wrong because we've already accepted how you explain it. The Android meme being that way. So why would anybody want to make a court case out of it? Is this an American kind of legal thing, or was the court case in Australia, or?
Well, Bob Dylan made the same argument. He made that argument a couple months ago when he came on with his transcriptated statement. Remember, he said he was trans something, and he was mad because he got sued for copyright invasion, or what do you call it, infringement, appropriation. And he said it's a tradition in blues and American folk music, the music of the last 200 years, to play other people's stuff. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
To use people and develop it. And that is exactly what McLuhan talks about, the Homeric form of oral bard or poet. He would take the cliches, the songs, the repertoire that the tribe used, and his idea was to his talent was to put a particular spin on it. But he always worked with a shared bunch of motifs that everybody kind of recognized. Now, what's interesting in our time, we got so much information.
Back to the original source.
Hey, Robbie, let me say this. I'm supposed to stop, but I don't think that anything worth saying. I use my ESP to justify my not stopping here because you spoke. But I just want to say, well, I lost it now, Robert. Thanks a lot.
Well,
I forgot.
Apologize for snoring on episode 3. I heard that you played me snoring when I was asleep, and I'm so sorry about that. And also, just to about the Puerto Rico bottle to Carolyn. I never knew that you guys were going to move to Puerto Rico. I just found a bottle and I did it.
No, Costa Rica, not Puerto Rico, Costa Rica.
Yeah, Costa Rica.
Yeah, but what was it? Oh yeah, there's so much information overloaded that the Homeric idea of you take the crowd knows the motifs that you're going to do riffs on, like jazz did. There's so much information over the last 30 years in songs and material that most people wouldn't know that there's no shared motifs. So the oral tradition does not survive by the 80s. It's like, do whatever you want to do, and most people won't notice it, and most people won't know you stole it, and you'll be able to get away with it. That's what you call that. Tactile tradition.
You mentioned Deep Purple, Bob. I know there's a lot of revival with music for Christmas now, so what were you thinking when you spoke about what was the connection with this band, Deep Purple, Frank Zappa?
Deep Purple, they were in Switzerland in November 1971 when Frank was playing in an auditorium there, and it caught on fire. And you might be able to hear it on YouTube. You hear him direct the audience out of this burning theater. He does a pretty good job of keeping his cool, keeping the audience safe so no one gets hurt. But Deep Purple was near there, and they saw the smoke coming out of the building from across the water, and they wrote that famous song, Smoke on the Water. That's about Zappa's place. Yeah, that's about Zappa's concert burning down.
I used to jump up and down on my bed as a kid playing air guitar to Smoke on the Water. That was a great song.
No, there's a point. There's an exact illustration of how much you don't know about the environment you're enjoying. You don't know it's about Zappa. You don't even know about Zappa. You don't know this. Yeah. You don't know that. But you don't need to know those reference points to enjoy it.
You don't need to know it to play air guitar.
Well, no, just to enjoy it. See, it's kinetic, it's proprioceptive, but also you're putting your own images into Smoke on the Water, whatever images it means to you that evokes you, the ones that you hear at least. Now, that's why we come up with the only tasteful remark is to say the user is the content. And that's why everybody's on their own, just enjoying the Android meme abundance. And that's why Ian is right to say it's not a spiritual, metaphysical truth that you have your own reality. You're stuck with that condition right now as long as we have Android mean conditions. Now, this has never been said to you guys before.
Yeah, but on a consumption level, you know, this is palatable. You know, the Deep Purple is a part of the compilation which is going to sell. You know, it's already sold loads of copies for Christmas. And I'm thinking, would the same thing be able for Frank Zappa? He's got all these movies that your friends have been sharing about. Is this something that we're going to see for Christmas?
No, we're not going to see it. Gail Zappa keeps too tightly controlled the Zappa estate. And Deep Purple, Zappa never had a huge hit in the mainstream of the Android meme other than his daughter's Valley Girl. And in 1974 or so, the song about "Don't Eat the Yellow Snow" that had a novelty effect. You know, don't eat the piss in the snow that the dog put there. That's the only hits that Zappa had. So you can't. There's no big collective emotion of retrieval for Frank. They just
in the wind.
But here's an interesting thing. They don't have a festival around Deep Purple and its music every year. But they do have a festival in East Germany, well, used to be East Germany, a festival in Germany every year called the Zappanale, where people from all over the world come to celebrate Zappa. And many of the former musicians, and the bands are in now. There's bands from Czechoslovakia, all over the world that come. They don't have, see, this is what's interesting. Deep Purple can have a reunion tour and just go flash through and take a year and make a lot of money like the Stones do, and then that's it. But there's a steady, anchored community growing all the time that can celebrate all the levels of Zappa's creativity every year. Now, that's an important distinction, right, Shane? Wouldn't you agree with me?
Well, it's significant. I don't really understand why, because I must admit I do have trouble listening to Zappa. I mean, I can appreciate his intelligence and I can appreciate him artistically, what he was doing, and I sort of have to study him to be able to listen to him. But I don't actually really enjoy...
That's good.
But I don't enjoy...
Let me respond to that. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you enjoy it. The point is there is so much Zappa music. He even told Michael Blake Reed after he was channeled Zappa, and I talked to the dead Frank Zappa through the Evergreens, and then Michael Blake Reed woke up, and then he was telling me that he was talking to Zappa, and, you know, in his own mind while the session was happening. And he says, I don't really like your music, Frank. And so Frank says, well, how about this? And he picked up a guitar and he played a song totally differently. And Michael told me, I said to Frank, yeah, I like that. And then Frank recommended a particular album based on Michael's taste. There's so much music that you haven't even heard, Frank. You heard this or that, a couple of things. And yeah, you might not like the 1980 to 84 phase, but there's the 65 to 70, 70 to 73, 73 to 73, all the different phases are huge. The guy has like 80 albums out there. So you are not qualified to judge it until you swallow yourself, swallow your pride, and fucking engage it for a couple of years. Then you call in and give your valued treasure of wisdom on the matter.
Fair enough. Well, I was impressed with that documentary when they took us into the vault, his vault of recordings and notes and journals and movies, and I mean, a ridiculously vast, prolific collection of material. How did one man still looked to be about, what was he when he died, 40?
He was 50, it was a week or 2 weeks. Remember, his birthday is December 21st, the day coming up in 2 days.
Really?
Calendar date. Yeah, but he would have been 53. He was a few weeks short of 53. So
well, how he managed such a massive output in what, 30 years or maybe 35 years is incredible.
25 years, 63 to 88. He was touring. That's 25 years. You know how he did it? He was ionized. He wouldn't sleep for days. And he recorded everything. He recorded anybody walking into a studio, he would record them. He recorded everything and everybody, every show. You can see a documentary. We actually saw it in New York in 1984. He says goodnight to the audience after all the encores, and the camera follows him. He walks straight to the back of the stage to a motor vehicle, wreck vehicle kind of thing, where there's a whole studio there, and he sits down and he starts checking the recording immediately. He doesn't run off to a backroom restaurant or a bar to pick up groupies. He goes right to work, goes right and listens to the quality and the whole setup he had just recorded.
No,
he's a bit like you in that sense, Bob.
Wait, Robert, what's Shane saying?
I was just saying he's a bit like you in that sense. Or from my perspective, you've always recorded your daily life and every communication and every interaction you've had. You've recorded it all and you've documented it. I mean, that's a very similar kind of approach. It strikes me that people like you and Frank must have known they were preparing work for the autobiographers, that were to come, or the biographers, I should say.
Yeah,
you must have each had a sense of your own significance in some way.
Yeah, and he would never admit it. I never got him to admit it. He probably went to a medium, a psychic, and was told when he was young that he would be famous, blah, blah, blah. And so that might have inputted. But he was pretty amazing genius, so he just knew it. But I was told by psychics when I was young that I would be relevant to you and all our loved ones listening tonight.
Oh, well, let me take you up on that, because that was a question I had some weeks ago for both you and Carolyn. Is individually, when did you each know that you would play some significant role in the world, and when did you know as a couple? And were those dates separate? In other words, did you have an individual kind of awareness of that prior to meeting each other, or did you have the awareness come as a couple, if that makes sense?
If you notice in the diaries, you go to the December 1944 diary entry where we're going to the Battle of the Bulge area, and that's where I first meet Carolyn, right around that time. She's astounding with the border guard, the American border guard.
Yeah, I recall that. Yep.
Yeah. So I noticed that sometimes it doesn't come through in the script, but it should show my thinking, my thoughts in italics. So hopefully it's in italics where I'm saying, this person's pretty interesting. So I kept bumping into her for
like that. You said basically.
No, okay. So I noticed her very early, but we were working in the Secret Council 10, and she was not. We weren't around each other for many years. It wasn't until the mid '60s we had a chance. Well, a little before the late '50s, we had a chance to spend time with each other, and then that's the one we got involved. And if you listen to whatever I played the other day, it was one of the uniquely Ionic things. Ion's joking how Bob is never ready or something, or I'm claiming I'm ready, but I'm just recently getting ready. And Ion says, yes, but Carolyn's been ready since 1971. Now, when you go back to what happened in 1971, that's when we went to Texas, Austin, Texas, and had a private reading with a great psychic named Bertie Catchings. Now, I had the session, and Carolyn didn't have one. But that's the first real indication of some kind of historical role. And she mentions Frank Zappa and Gail Zappa in the, from reading the tea leaves or my hand or something. She sees them. And she sees an earthquake will happen at the time we're with them. So Carolyn never didn't articulate too much about that. But in retrospect, she was so keen on purposeful in doing her medicine, you knew that she had a sense of confidence. She just didn't talk about it, or didn't even care about it. But I didn't talk about it to anybody else, but I would talk to myself about it. So we had a pretty, I'd say 1971, we started thinking about it, but then we went through the Natural Born Killers phase as shown in that movie, and it was a tough time in the Secret Council 10, and a lot of bad stuff we had to do to stay, stay something. And then it would be when Carolyn got on the cover, the first woman doctor on the cover of a magazine, a doctor magazine in Ontario, Canada, like 1985, early 1986. She's the first woman to be on the cover. I mean, doctors, I don't know what it was like in England, Australia, but in Canada, it was rare to have female doctors. And they didn't start getting into med school until the 70s. So here she is, the first woman. So here she is on the cover. That's when I knew, well, she's going to have this kind of hit record all the time. Then she does her first talk show with William Crook of the East Connection in November '86, and the show broke all records and had 88,000 people trying to call in, and because it was snowy, never snowed in and watching TV. But Carolyn was so charismatic, everybody said, "Wow, there's a real doctor. I want to talk to the doctor. There's a real doctor." And so I could see that, but Carolyn, either she kept it to herself or she didn't think about it. She never commented on that. She was too busy doing it. So it's very interesting how Ion says she was ready since '71, and I never was ready.
Well, that's great. I mean, I was thinking as you opened the show how exciting it will be for me to listen in on Friday and probably call in on Friday, because I think that's a really great way to spend that day or that afternoon of that day for me. And I mean, it'll actually be the day after, because if in fact,
oh yes, that's right, for you. Okay,
yeah, I've already experienced it, so I might have some.
Wait a minute. I got to figure this out. In other words, Greenwich Mean Time. That is, how does that apply to you? Are you 24 hours ahead of Greenwich Mean Time? Because you're close. You're close to the beginning, which is...
It's 3:30 p.m. on Wednesday right now.
3:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Okay, well, okay. What time will it be here in Hawaii, or make it easy, Eastern Standard Time, when you start midnight, December 21st? Well, what time will it be Eastern Standard Time?
First. I'll have to Google that one.
Yeah, figure that out for us over the next couple hours, and we'll figure out. Yep. So you begin. Well, what is it? You're Greenwich
We're
Mean Time.
Australian Eastern Standard Time. We're AEST.
No. Don't use that Eastern Standard Time, Australia. We're talking about Pacific Standard Time. Use that.
Yeah, I know. You're PST, are you, or do you want EST?
No, I'm 2 hours behind that, but just do PST.
All right.
But the thing is that Greenwich Mean Time is 0. It does it first. You have to relate to Greenwich Mean Time, but you start a day later?
No, I think how it works is because I remember with some of the New Year celebrations, some people used to travel to Australia and specifically Byron Bay, which is the East Coast, because I think, well, maybe it's different from Maui, but apart from that Pacific seaboard, I think Australia is the first, I don't know how it works, but we see this first of that day or something, the first hour of that day.
Shane, your static is starting. Your phone crap is starting. Maybe you might have to disconnect and come back in again or something.
Yeah,
thanks. Yeah, it's too bad. So we're going to figure this out, or somebody figure it out. Okay, we got lots of messages, so I'll let Bobby of Tottenham Entertainment until you get back.
Are you done, Shane? So, am I crackling up, Bob, or is it just...
No, it's just Shane.
It's something in my head.
Oh, God.
You got to hang up, Shane. Bye.
It's like
you got to say goodbye, Shane.
On a truck. Rubber duck on a truck. Now, when you mentioned Germany and you mentioned the filmmaker, I thought of my sadly passed away friend Robert. You met him, Bucky, and I was reading today in a popular German newspaper from a journalist who, his profile is all about Santa Claus, and the jokes of Santa Claus and stuff like that. And he's a German reporter, and he's reporting about Robert's filmmaking and his court case with the TV license. Did he share that with you, that story?
Who share it with me?
Bucky.
Bucky? Oh, Bucky. No, he didn't. I don't know who this Roberts guy is. Who is he? Who's this Roberts filmmaker?
Bucky, and he was like Frank Zappa. He was a filmmaker. He was big in Texas as well. So you mentioned the Psychic in Texas, and Bucky just was there. When you were saying it.
Yeah.
We've got hours and hours of archives of famous musicians at the where Bob Dylan's played and stuff like that as well. And also he's got a book at the moment that one of my friends has transcribed into an audio, and they're trying to release it. It's a very, very big book.
Are you talking about Bucky or someone else like Bucky?
Well, Bucky is Robert Hurtner is Bucky. You know, that's who Bucky was.
Yeah. So Robert Hurtner visited all these musicians.
And he was and I was reading today in the German article, and I was thinking, what is the attraction in Germany with filmmakers and fringe kind of musicians? That's the question. But you know,
if you want to use a sensory profile, you would look up page 136 of McLuhan's From Cliché to Archetype, and you'd find the German bias. I think they were tactile iconic. They know it like the inside of their pocket or some phrase like that. You know, they express knowing it. I know it inside out, I think is the American one. I know it like the inside of my pocket. So there's something edgy. No, that's not a good word. There's something kinetic and tactile about the Germans. And movies are a kinetic medium. So
they're definitely tracking and watching, looking out for particular specific things. And when you think about like the success of the Beatles, you know, just how they're able to identify early on about people's talents, you know.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking of? You remember Saturday Night Live used to do a satire called Sprockets, and they'd have this German aesthete film critic host a TV show, and it was a lot of very obscure stuff they satirized. So you may be right. Maybe people have noticed that Germans look into this fringe stuff more than anybody else. You could be right, Robert.
What is your experience with because there's a lot about Germany on your note chart thing. What have you lived in Germany before, Bob, or have you guys been on vacation there?
I have not lived in Germany. It's just that a lot of Nazis, like Reinhard Gehlen, Fritz Kramer, a few others, were part of the Secret Council 10 CIA liaison, because they had all the information, spy information on the Soviet Union. And they were the experts of the Soviet Union, and the CIA needed that in the middle of the Cold War. So a lot of Germans got into very influential positions in the Pentagon, and that's how I interacted with them. I did not know much about the German popular culture.
Now, I just go with where you guys drive me over your audios and your interviews, and one of them was actually, is it Hermann Hesse or somebody Hesse? He was like a Nazi glum. Really bad. He was like Hitler's #1. But when you actually listen to his hour and 45-minute video, he talks about his passion for alternative medicine.
Alternative medicine?
Yeah, the Hess guy. He was a big advocate of anything but the doctor's opinion. You know, the alternative medicine, and I think.
Well, when was he? There's Hermann Hesse lived in the 20s and 30s. Famous German novelist.
No. Somebody has.
Not him. Okay, I want to go on to something else. That's too obscure. Okay, so we got lots of messages here.
Eyebrows on a.
Okay, we got lots of messages here. Here we go, Robert. We're going to listen to some messages. Patio. What? What are you doing? Don't go on to tangents. All right, here we go. Patio says, did I tell you about the 2012 December 20th air thing? Is it slight, just people who are afraid-ish that they will be an extra panica? I did a lot on the changes that the 2012 thing signifies, but it's not the calendar date. It's what's happening right now. The last couple of years and the next year or two, this is the major period of change, and it does relate to the end of the procession. But it doesn't have to be December 21st. It's right now, larger now, a few years back and a few years forward. The substance of our being and our environment is changing. And so people will be reacting to that. They will be frightened by it. Others will get blissful on it. It's almost like Ezekiel 122, where there's the terrible crystal. What are we saying, Robert?
No, I see what you're saying, Bob. No, it's just tuning into the right happiness, isn't it?
Right, and I think that part of the significance is ion. It's the showing up of ion as part of this vibration, and that's been for 3 years now. Now, let me go down a couple other messages. Shane says, Shane.
Oh, that's an old one. That's an old one.
Okay, good. You saw the message from Bill? You unplugged your headset and reset it. That's how you get it clear. Okay,
sound right
did
now?
That, Shane. What?
Does it sound okay?
You're better, yeah. So, I want to read some things. Tracy, 168 from Texas, says, I'm dropping my holographic acid, more 60s music. I agree. I was thinking, if you were a kid, a teenager in 1966, with that music blasting out of your radio all year long, it was very hard for you to keep your literate sensibilities intact. No wonder people were prompted to take acid. It's a very powerful expression coming in, triggered by Dylan. Dylan was the beginning of it, with his song Like a Rolling Stone and Everybody Must Get Stoned. Okay, then the Great Gazoo in Rocky Beach says fringement. Fringement, M-E-N-T. Then Tracy 168 says the song, quote, I come from the land down under. The lawsuit says the riff came from Kookaburra. So that's what you guys are talking about? The lawsuit of Men at Work? I come from the land down under. Lawsuit says the riff came from Kookaburra. Well, that isn't the Seeds. Then Allison says, up in Washington State, says, hey, Bob and Carolyn, that sentence above, by the way, is 22 characters. Is she saying, hey, Bob and Carolyn? Hey, message, hey, Bob. I'm not sure what sentence.
That's not what I meant, but, I did watch the first episode of Fringe this week. I went to the channel that you spoke about the other week, and I watched Fringe, and, I'm impressed with it. I'm going to try and watch more of it. And your friends...
what season did you watch? What season? Look, it's been 4 or 5 seasons. What did you watch?
I mean, I'm not going to go straight into season 5 or anything like that.
Okay, so you watched the first season. Season 1.
The bit in the airplane where they're in the plane.
I tell you, the first 10... You're impressed with that, but the first 10, 12, 14 episodes, season 1, aren't that good for me. They're boring. It's just typical monster stuff. It doesn't get good till episode 19 and 20 when they have the actual parallel world videotaping.
Oh, I can blitz it all in 2 days. I could watch it, just watch every single episode, just take a few more drops. But the thing is, Bob, is I want to talk about this realign thing because
Wait, we got to finish Allison's message. Hey, come on, really, look at the email. She says that sentence above, by the way, is 22 characters. Allison, come on, what sentence? Message. I mean, that's 7 letters. Then 10, 13. That's not 10, that's 23 letters. If you mean message, hey, Bob and Carolyn. So, come on, clarify. Then she says, finally have a chance to tune in tonight. Well, why don't you call in, Allison? I mean, you're a former real gaga housekeeper or something. Here it is, a Zappa tribute. Actually, just a what the hell are you doing, Robert? Why are you interrupting? We are interacting with Allison right now. We're communing with Allison. Unfortunately, I have to do it verbally. Normally, I say, as soon as I hear a sound, I drop. But I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Allison. So here, let's shut up for a while. Finally, have a chance to tune in tonight. And here it is, a Zappa tribute. It isn't a Zappa tribute. We're playing other stuff. And it's theoretically stuff that influenced Frank. So come on, Allison, you better call in and improve your image here. And then she says, actually, just a discussion, right? Just a discussion, right? Should have a comma after discussion, Allison. Just a discussion, comma, right? And then she says, and pretty notable, Frank's birthday's on December 21st. I mean, really? Well, okay, that's we're talking about. Well, we're talking about that, but it's not a tribute. You'll back me up, Shane. Hey, we're not doing a tribute to Zappa, are we?
No.
And then she says, I love the way you can spout about Frank with such awareness of him. Thanks, Bob. Well, I can spout about a lot of things. I can spout about you, Allison. Would you love that? Why don't you spout about you with such awareness of you? Then she says, above makes 333 characters. My significant number, Bob. Okay, so she molded to have her number. Very good, Allison. Let's see if Allison responded. It's Allison. Fringe. She says, the best ever Fringe. Walter on LSD last Friday night. Well, yes, you told me that before I watched it. So when it happened, it reminded me of Monty Python. What do you think, Shane? Did you watch it?
Well, no, I haven't. Is that episode 9 of Series 5? No, I haven't seen that one. I'm up to that. I'm ready to go. I'm waiting.
Okay, well, I don't know if it was a fantastic LSD thing, but what the heck, everybody... Allison has done so much LSD, she's lost her perspective, you know. Anything that smacks of LSD, she thinks is great. And then she says, she goes, when I tuned it in was... She had a good point to make, and she blew the grammar. You blew it. When I tuned in, it was... or. We know what you're saying, but you blew it. When I tuned it in was. Anyway, she's saying that, and Frank, it was a topic. Well, it wasn't a tribute. We're just talking about him. Okay, then she says, this is fun, PHUN, talking to you without talking to you. That means visually without audio. But I tell you, you're going to get a lot of slingshots if you don't come in and do the acoustic thing. That'll erase my domination here. Okay, Shane, you speak for a few minutes. Well, no, Robert wanted to speak on something.
Yeah,
do you have something you want to talk about?
About this show? You know what's really great about this show, Bob? There's no intermission with the hip-hop. What was that show?
Yeah, there's no commercials.
All them commercials with hip-hop radio. Was that Allison? Was it?
No, that's very important to have no commercials, none of that mood-killing stuff.
Your reaction
here's
when you
lost,
when you left your lid,
Allison's going nuts. She's furiously trying to defend herself. Listen to this, Bobby. She says, too much LSD. When I tuned in the show, you were talking about Frank. She's still going on about the Frank issue. I won that one. We dropped that, Allison. Come on in. And then she says, I'm going to walk the dog and I'll call in. Very good. She's going to call in. What do you think of that? Shane, you ready for that?
Yep, ready for that.
Ready for a real house tracker?
When you react to the adverts, and Buzz Coaston's made it into a video, and I mean, he's got a wave. He's got 3 channels that have just come out, and they're so colourful. And they're really good videos, so it's great to see that Buzz is back on the scene, and I hopefully look forward to hearing him calling into Bob's in charge. You're in charge.
Show. Yeah, listen, Robert, would you send me, I have most of his channels, but could you send me the links to the 3 new channels to see, I want to see if I have them already.
Buzz Coaston Redux.
No. You send them to me. You're always sending. I get an email from you every day, and it's never useful. Now you can be useful, and you're telling me to type up frick that. You send in the fucking useful email when I want one, okay? You got your assignment. Here's Allison. She says, you win, Bob, always. Well, it might sound like I'm trying to win, but I hope not to have a finish line. There's no finish line, Allison. Yes, I won the last 10 minutes, but you can call in and win the next 10 minutes. You get that, Shane?
Yeah, Allison, Bob just wants to engage. He doesn't want to win. He just wants to engage.
Yeah, it's like playing cards. You know, you win a hand, then you lose. You win, lose, win, lose. It's you don't bother even keeping score on the big level. I mean,
Hey, Bob, I've got my homework done, by the way. I've got my homework done.
What?
Okay, at midnight on the 21st of December in Australia, it will be 3 a.m. in Hawaii, in Honolulu.
On December 20th?
Friday, December 21st, 3 a.m.
Yeah, what day is it 3 a.m.?
Friday.
Oh, well, what about... No, it'll be the 21st. Wait, what? Okay, Friday's the 21st.
Yeah, so it's 20, what's that, 21 hours behind, I think, Australia. So we're 21 hours ahead of you.
Okay, so what time did you say it was in Australia?
Well, you said you wanted me to look up midnight on Friday 21st. Yeah.
The beginning. Okay, but then what is that in relation to Greenwich Mean Time?
Well, I don't
12
know.
hours.
You didn't answer that.
Yeah, you notice it on on New Year's Eve. You see it when they do the fireworks on telly. It's 12 hours, so you're exactly 12 hours ahead of us. So when it comes to on TV, the fireworks, it starts with Australia around the world.
Yeah, and New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah, and then it goes...
Yeah, and that would be noon hour in London.
Yeah, we're 12 hours behind.
Right. So noon hour in New Year's Eve.
Oh, well, we can double check on that. I'm making it it's nearly 5 to 5 in the morning.
See, look, Shane. The day begins at Greenwich Mean Time. So when does December 21st? It starts in Greenwich Mean Time at 0, or are you guys a day ahead of them? Greenwich Mean Time.
That's it.
I think we're ahead.
You see, what happened was the Earth pivoted and Australia overtook us by 12 hours, and that's why you're doing so well economically.
I have no idea how it all works, but I've just, looked that up, and that's the difference in time between Hawaii or Honolulu and Melbourne, where I am.
Okay, so I'll be on the radio December 20th.
That's when you're actually on. Okay. Do you want me to convert that or something? What would you like?
Yeah, when I come on at 7 Pacific Standard Time, it's a couple of hours into December 21st, according to Greenwich Mean Time. What are you guys? Where are you at that point?
Well, so 7 p.m. on the 20th, not the 21st, you want to know.
Yeah, it looks like we're talking triangulation here, Shane.
Yeah? Well, what's
Australia, Greenwich Mean Time, and Hawaii.
Should I put in Hawaii as the location for you? Is that close enough?
But if it's easier, do L.A., Pacific Standard Time.
And that would be 10 p.m. ET Eastern Time, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, this particular website requires a city, so I'll just use cities.
Which is 3 a.m. here.
We got to clear the air here. This is too much mathematics going on, so let me just clear the air here, and we'll see you on the other side of this break.
Okay.
Oh, no. More hip-hop.
Oh, I'm going to do it this way. Okay, we're only playing one song this hour because Shane is on the line. We have to finish business with Shane, and he has to go soon. But that was the Four Tops, Walk Away Renee, another great song, 1966. Okay, Shane, if it is 4 p.m. in Melbourne, is that where you are, Melbourne?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. 4 p.m., Friday, December 21st, it would be 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, December 20th. And that's when I start the show on the 20th. And then Greenwich Mean Time.
5 a.m. Yeah, and 5 a.m. in London.
Right.
Greenwich Mean Time.
So you're ahead of London. And so what time let's go by your beginning. So December 21st starts 4 p.m. Yes. That's 10 hours, like 12 to 12 to 12. That's 16 hours into Friday, December 21st, right, for you? That's 16 hours into it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So then if I go 7 p.m. Thursday the 20th, go back 12, that's 7, you go back 7 p.m., you go back 5, 17, what did we say, 16? So
16, yeah.
It's 1 a.m. Thursday morning when December 21st starts with you guys who are a day ahead and leading.
Yep.
So what I got to be doing something tomorrow night to be on the air with you.
Yep.
Bill's going to have to bump somebody on his schedule. So I come on tomorrow night, Bill, at what is it, 1 a.m. my time, or Pacific Standard Time, which would be 11. I think it'd be tonight. I think tonight is later. No, is it tomorrow night? When is that?
Well, no.
We said 7 p.m. We're going by the Pacific Standard Time, which then became 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 11 the 19th. So tomorrow night, Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow night, Wednesday. My Wednesday, I got to get on Bill's. I got to call in on his station. I must just start. I must be on the air. You know what I mean? That's the whole point.
Yeah,
just get me on the air somehow. So I find out what show he has on. Hopefully they take calls, and I'll come in and do my Megalomania, right for the benefit of whoever has the show.
Perfect.
I think I'm going to fine-tune that, but it looks like 11 a.m. Wednesday night, my time, well before Friday in your world, because your day ahead is the actual beginning for you guys of December 21st. And so that relates to Greg here, because by the time we get going, it's the 22nd for you, right? I think it becomes the 22nd by the time we're going on Thursday night. So Greg from Seattle says, we know that the real date is the 22nd. Bob Club 22, the number 22 coming up all of Bob's life. And after the masses are lulled into a false sense of relief, the big event will happen then. So you heard it here in Seattle, on the chip body, which is everywhere now. Stay alert on the 22nd. Okay, those are wise words. It'll be, I may be on the air no, what the hell will I be doing on the 22nd? I'll be recovering from the show. Yes, so, well noted,
well, look,
Greg.
that'd be great. If you sort that out and let me know, I'll definitely tune in, so.
Yeah, maybe we should have a conference call, ad hoc president's cabinet meeting at the on the 22nd.
I'll stand on the roof of my house, and if I can see any tidal waves coming, I'll let you know to duck or to grab a boat.
Yeah. Now, see, here's the funny thing. It's like life. Life is irrelevant on the surface, but very profoundly important. You have this event, which is trivialized, and 99.9% of humanity says nothing's going to happen, right? Everybody knows that. They got the appropriate cynicism. But there is something profound happening at this time, at this timing. See, this is where people got to have a double track to understand what's happening. You know, you don't go on that. You don't make a conclusion. You got to be tracking parallel tracks, because there is right now in our timing big stuff happening in Dobbstown, in Iondom, and in the world, because Ion showed up. So this should be understood. This should be. So Shane, I will. Are you still here, Bobby? Bobby from Tottenham?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious to know what you're talking about.
We're talking about, we have, what are we talking? We're talking about your life, Bobby, and how very significant things are going to happen in your life already the past 2 years and for the next 2 years. For this 4-year span, we're talking about what you're going to go through. And so far, you're doing well, because you got there.
It's probably already happened, Bob. Whatever's happening has probably already happened, and we're just not quite aware of it yet.
Oh, we know that. And that we try to ignore that, because we like to think that we're not a hologram, that things are live and organic and juicy and meaningful, right? So we project forward. This is fun to project forward as if nothing has happened yet.
What's this show that you guys are rehearsing for? I mean, we're on a show now, aren't we? I was just thinking, what's this next show you're talking about?
In 2 days, Robert, Bobby, in 2 days. I like saying the word, Bobby. In 2 days, you can come back in. I'll be back on the air here. That's what we're talking about. It's going to be an amazing show in 48 hours. That's what we're talking about. Forget all the paraphernalia about what time it is or where the Chinese are or whether it happened already. Just show up here in those 2 to 48 hours. It'll be
all
a unique ratio.
Will be covered on that day.
All the what, Mr.
Everything you need to know will be covered on that day, Bobby.
And also everything you don't need to know. See, it's a parallel track always. It's always two things going on at the same time.
The Chinese was yesterday's news, and today's news is Japan.
Yes. So when we talk about this parallel track, then note how the Android meme will simulate the parallelism. So that's how you get 4 levels, 4 parallels, and that's quadrophenia. See? So we're going to have parallel.
It's just keeping up with the Android meme, you know.
You don't have to. It keeps up with you.
It's true.
It adapts itself to you constantly. It's just like source energy.
But how does it know what we have to think tomorrow?
Because it's technology which came from us. And very complex why it is conscious and knows you, but probably because it all happened before. It already happened, so it knows what you're going to do.
Which is pretty deep, isn't it? It's pretty deep when you think about it on a kind of a psychic level or a religious level. It's the consciousness of the world.
Yes, it's deeper even if you don't think about it.
Exactly.
As much as I'd love to stay, I've got to go, Bob. So Bob's.
Why, Shay? Why'd you have to go? Why'd you have to go?
He's a day ahead of us. He's got to go to work and play.
I'm at work trying to focus and concentrate. And now I've got to go and pick up my bike, which has been serviced for my Christmas present to myself. So I've got to go. But it's been a pleasure, and I'll tune in on...
Bike?
Yeah.
What is it?
Hey, Shane. Hey,
yes,
Shane.
Bob.
I'm moving ahead the marker. It's going to start at new stuff in a second. And the mum. You're going to hear some new stuff. I'm moving past the repeat.
Oh, cool.
Okay?
All right, good. I'll have the earphones on.
Are you doing the mums again, is it?
Yes, we're doing the mums again. So here we go. We're going to do it. Thanks a lot, Shane. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for helping the show along.
See you, Bob.
Enjoyed the music. Yes, you like the music, of course. Okay, we're going to move this forward, Bobby, and we're going to hear something for the first time for you, I hope. So I'll ask Carol if it repeats. If it does, I'll stop and move it forward. Here we go.
Talk about sitting, what's his name? The Abomination. He probably has the most authority of anyone on the planet, but he can't even smoke a cigarette without asking one. Something very powerful.
I mean, the reality, of course, that he's has no authority. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
No, he has great authority. He just doesn't have any power. That's the difference.
Yeah. Okay. The authority is putting on the medium being the past. And those that recognize the past is what he's representing authoritatively. Would you agree with that, Ion, those words?
Certainly. And if you start looking at presidents, okay, one that goes down in history of being the best of the best of the best of the best, namely Ronald Reagan. Well,
oh my God,
this is one who knew what power was. Didn't say he used it well. Didn't say he had a clue. Didn't say agree or disagree. But as far as an archetypal example, he got up there. Every time he opened his mouth to the American people, he said, "No more new government." And the next day, he'd double the size of the federal government.
Yeah.
And then he'd go on a little bit more, and he'd say, "No more new government." And he wouldn't double what the original was. He'd double the second one. So it became cubed every time he did it.
Right.
No more new government. And made the government be larger than any corporation twice larger than any corporation on the planet on the premise power being no more new government. And people just laughed at it.
In fact, you could say with
biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, well, like what you could say with Reagan, that his amazing creative power was that he was actually creating everything opposite of everything he said. It was amazing.
Yeah, now, Buzz,
he'd say one thing and create the exact opposite.
Okay, we've decided that this was heard. We're going to move it forward 3 minutes. This whole bit about Reagan counts as we played that last time. So we'll move it forward just a bit. And let's see if this has not been heard.
Artist doesn't mean it's good to be an artist.
But they have good psychics. I mean, Nixon did all she could out, but so far so good.
Yeah. Nixon used Gene Dixon. Nancy used Gene Dixon. Whore of Babylon. If Mark Stallman was here.
Yeah, you know,
I don't care if it rains or freezes, as long as I got my plastic Jesus sitting on the dashboard of my car. Oh, that was in honor of Mark. Sorry.
What were we gonna say, Andrew?
No. Mark would run a Turing test, I guess, on Ion. And
Turing test.
What languages can we speak Ion? If you're non-physical, surely we could shift this into Japanese or perhaps Maori or Hawaiian or Samoan or something like this.
How about Angel?
Yeah.
Do some Angel.
Do some Angels for us, Ion.
Yeah, bring that on.
Would you like, okay, any engage with?
Does that mean either Lucifer, Gabriel, and Michael? Is that what legions are?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, name a legion, all you Catholics.
And Esperanto?
No, Angel, come on.
Polana ke shiti la boso, la manda semina shiti, flem te la coposhon te la masenti, akata shanti limina sa.
Which legion was that?
Okay, so to that I say, Shandabakol.
That was beautiful.
Who was it?
That was me.
It's Buzz.
Well, identify yourself. Who's the me?
Oh, who's the me that said it? I don't know.
I don't know. You're all fucking wiggly. Hey, James, who said that? Who did that?
Buzz.
What?
Buzz.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went out.
Yeah, it went out. So what's that mean that when Buzz did it, it went wavy? What's that tell Ion?
Oh, just that he must be as ascended as he says. We stand in awe at your grandeur, Buzz.
Well, he said he was ascended, but spoken.
Okay, so is Angel Talk just tongues? That's the challenge, the wager of Buzz?
Nope.
No.
It is not.
Okay, well, correct. Say in Angel what he was trying to say in glossolalia.
It is different? Oh, well, I am.
See that? So Buzz was sort of doing the humanist response, trying to say that Ion was glossolalia. And Ion claims that he wasn't doing it glossolalia.
Hey, I was speaking in the tongues of angels, just like Ion. Maybe he doesn't understand my tongue, but then nonetheless, I was speaking in the tongue of angels.
How would you know?
How would I know? I just did it.
Well, did you learn this somewhere?
How would Ion know? I
can verify it too. He's speaking Angel.
Who is?
Me. I verified.
Who are you referring to? Don't use proper nouns. So, Buzz, how did you learn how to say language? I mean, Angel.
You don't learn, Bob.
Dude, I was in the South. I was in a national.
Oh, that's right. In 1990, when you hung out with the fundamentalists for a year, I knew I had to be back there.
And the waters parted, and the Spirit of God descended upon me. Hallelujah! Thank you, Jesus.
All right, Ion, this is a good topic. Two different media. What the fundamentalists are doing in the Baptist Church, or whatever you call that sect that does that. What's that? Is that correct compared to what you're doing, Ion?
It isn't the Baptists.
Whatever it is, I don't give a fuck. You know who we're talking about, that Buzz hung out. What are they doing compared to what you're doing? The same thing or something different?
Well, no, they're doing something different. They're using it as a spiritual gift. We're using it as a straight means of communication, which is very different.
Yeah, but they still need an interpreter regardless of which way you use it.
No, you don't. With the angels, what's the interpreter for?
Yeah, because
why are you speaking to us in the tongues of angels?
Because James asked James asked. We respond.
And Andrew asked.
We respond to askings of human creators.
Yeah, whatever you ask, I am respond.
We are jiggy with that.
It's their thing.
Like, if you can just deposit like 22 mil in my bank account, then
Andrew, I'm sorry. This is where you're going to have to do that yourself.
No, come on, man. I'm giving up self-reliance.
Checks in the mail, Andrew.
Actually, when you get into the rewrite group, that does start to happen, Andrew. It does happen. We don't like to talk about it. They'll stampede to the rewrite group, but you got to pay $635, do the 68 hours of the 23 chapters. Then you join the rewrite group, $50, and you will find that money starts showing up in your fucking account.
No. Then you got to get an invitation.
Oh yeah. Bob has to let you in.
Right.
But there brings up a.
There better be $22 million in there.
No, that's not the way it works. You got to do the Revelations, Drew. $635. Then you do it. No. I mean, here he is. He's demanding it. The little man demands. That's Andrew really being the Superman. Andrew is being the God there, right? He's demanding it. Maybe not to him.
But see, here's the thing Andrew hasn't thought about. What happens after the 22 million shows up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've done this before. You know, you got to ask yourself, what happens after it shows up? You know, nothing changes.
That's why it doesn't
show
up.
Except more problems.
I think you thoroughly overestimate my ability to squander $22 million.
No, you underestimate your ability.
You don't start at 22 million. That's true. You got to start with a number that you actually believe, okay? It may be $22, but if you can believe that, you can do it.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of like a negative energy, and I'm not buying into it.
Negative energy, no such thing, Andrew.
Well, good, because you probably couldn't afford it anyway.
You can do it. You can. It's easy to do. It's not hard to do. You know, it takes focus. It takes attention. Sometimes you got to do.
No, it doesn't, Buzz. That's old school. New school is no attention required. That's what we're learning from Ion. I tell you, the fucking members of Rewrite are finding the bank accounts going up.
Okay. Well, that sounds.
Am I right, James? You've heard about that, right?
Yeah.
It's not impossible. I agree. It's kind of like normal.
Good. Now that we like that.
Some people are using the portal for other things too, like money. It's whatever's top of their prayer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Use their power to go move into fucking castles all over the world. What a bitch.
That's what Chad did.
What do you want to do?
Or a better way to say that is, what would you do if you could not fail?
Yeah.
You get confident in using it, like using the technique.
That's right. And that confidence comes from what, Angela? What's the greatest proponent of confidence?
Practice makes perfect, like.
No, it most certainly does not. Practice makes practice. Perfect practice makes perfect. What you're asking and looking for in confidence is knowing, which is what we are saying. If you know where your car keys are, then you don't have to think and look for them. You know where your car keys are.
The thing is, if you had 22 million, like, you know, you do have 22 million, you just have to find the coordinate where that is. And the other thing is that...
And allow it to come to you, otherwise it'll leave you as fast as it came.
Yeah, and the other thing on top of that is that when you start using it and you start seeing the way reality wallpaper changes around you, suddenly it doesn't matter. That's like not really your desire anymore. It's like cool stuff.
Right.
And then the little banker man calls you on the phone and says, "Hey, you son of a bitch, there's 22 your account calling the government. Where did you get this funds?" And you go, "What? There's $22 million? Oh, non-physical, put it in my account. I wasn't powerful enough to get it. Look where the routing came from. Well, we traced the routing, and it's from an IP address that doesn't exist. So we'd like to know precisely where you came by this $22 million. Are you funding Al-Qaeda terroristic acts in the region? And you go, oh.
Just remember, Andrew, when more than 10 grand shows up, the feds want to know, or your government wants to know where it came from.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to deal with all those issues. Thanks for your concern for my personal safety, but I'll stick to my line, stick to my figure.
Yeah, well, go for it. But, it's up to you. It's not anybody else.
You're the one navigating your own personal world. You know what I mean? Your own parallel world.
Andrew, you're turning this into a cult, for fuck's sake. Where am I supposed to come up with the goddamn money?
It's a money cult. There you go. Winning.
Yeah, that's payroll on Wednesday.
No. And this week we're having a special guest, the Android Sheen.
Yeah. Nice gloss on the Android. Excellent.
Oh, James, just for your edification, in the last 3 minutes of the event with Hal Holbrook, you'll see a pictorial on the stone for your little trigonometry calculations.
Yeah.
What do you make of that, James? What do you make of that?
That was...
The lines and the tangents and how the tangents move, it's hard as trigonometry, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the funny
Did you say it's hard as, or it's the hardest EFT trigonometry?
No, it's hard as trigonometry.
Right. Stick that in that last 30 seconds, last minute in some YouTubes. It
3 minutes.
Serve you well. That's $22 million. Not in your account, but it's in an appropriate place.
Well, again, I've done that, okay? I've done that.
Done that.
Been there, done that.
Done that. Slept with that. Got sticky with that. It was fun. Next. Who's next?
Slept with that. Got sticky with that. You remember that one, James?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking for new tricks. I know that one. I know the whole multi-dimensional thing. Okay. Yeah, got it. What's the new trick? What's next?
The new trick is you talking to yourself right here. Ion. That's the new trick. It's the first time Nothin has ever been heard, Buzz. Never been heard.
Not by me. Not by me.
Keep yourself out of this. This is border talk.
Can I ask you something?
Do not make Angela's mistake. She's just gradually learning now how not to bring herself up. She's getting better at it.
Yeah, I'm improving.
Yeah, we've had enough of you, Buzz. Let's get back into mortar talk.
Bob loves his mortar talk.
Bob what?
Right.
Loves his mortar talk.
No, I don't. I'm trying to stop it.
Yeah, well, we're trying to... That's the good point of language and this hotline bypassing the mortar. And
no, it doesn't. It is mortar. You cannot stop mortar by talking about yourself.
I was talking about the angel language and how that bypasses.
Oh, I thought you did Angela. Okay, yeah. Angel language.
That is my language. What are you on about?
Yeah, keep angel language out of that. Angel is not mortar.
Tell him, Angel. You tell him. Go ahead. Tell him.
I won't have it. Right. You people don't realize this is exactly how the Monday Night Seminars would end. This is so Monday Night McLuhan.
And you bastards been doing it for 100 years and you're surprised.
You'd see McLuhan be over talking to one person, just talking other shit and ignoring everybody at the end. Probably talking projects that he's got going.
And the event, and pulling
tangents. Oh, yeah. Ask you something about on the other side. You pull up the portal, the tree into a scroll. metal scroll thing, or a hard scroll. Is there different scrolls you can plug into that to give a different layout?
You can if you're mindful of the tangents. Because if you don't know where to pull the tangents from, you won't have anything to juxtapose the sine and cosine wavelengths in it.
Well, Ion, Angela is addressing what website?
No website. What are you on about?
Okay, what was the first part? What are you asking Ion about?
Your chart. No, I'm not.
My chart? My chart?
No, sorry. No, it doesn't matter. No, it's some travel I've had that I just wanted to relay something with Ion.
A traveler's chart.
My travels, some of my travels.
Right.
Did you say the word charts? Hey, Chad, you want to translate what you... If it starts getting into unauthorized territory, I got to shut it down. So what's being said here?
It's already shut down, Bob.
Is Chad gone?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is... Speak slowly. What are you talking about, Angela?
I'm talking about scrolls.
Scrolls. What's that, Ion?
It's a way to gauge interdimensional travel from world to world.
Okay, so she's asking about those.
Triangulation.
That's what she's asking about. That's what you're doing, Angela.
How the fractal applies to engaging past, present, future within the scroll that she chooses. And that's the reason we said be mindful of the tangents that you draw from wherever the scroll you're starting, so that you can then find out A to B is the tangent. Then you can go to what A is to B. You can find out the B1, B2, and then you can go all the way back to find out B4. So if you want to go to a previous set point, pull an earlier tangent and go to B4, and that scroll will lay out where you want to go in an infinite degree. That's what she was asking, and we've already answered it. So it's fine. It's very McLuhan-esque, Bob.
That's right. All you do is change the channel.
New tangent.
Changing the channel.
What metal is the scroll when you pull it up?
Hey, you're hijacking this thing.
I am not.
What's this got to do with it? This sounds like personal stuff. Nobody else knows what you're talking about. Keep it collective and mortar-like. Like what's going on in Japan? Or,
I'm giving you the answer.
What about Buzz's YouTubes? These are things we can collectively share.
And how sweaty exactly does Buzz get riding his fucking bicycle in the very large park in Beijing? Yeah, that's right. Just keep on point. That's right.
Keep it corporate.
Right.
God, sneaking in, trying to rip off a private reading, even though it's for 2 minutes.
And what was on NPR yesterday?
Yes, you are, Angela. It's all about you. You only bring yourself to these things. Try to bring something else.
Remember, you haven't even I'm giving you the answer before you have the question, Bob.
Welcome to our world, darling. We gave you the answer. Now, what was the question?
Remember that, Andrew? I've got the questions.
Yep.
Okay.
No, Bob, I've got all the answers. Now, where are the questions?
Right, and it turned out that Ion, disguised as the answer man, was ready for the questions, and therefore evoked the questions. So Ion is creating the questions. What was looking for?
Ion, don't people typically confuse artificial intelligence with non-physical? Like they think that
there is no imitation knowing.
So there's no such thing as artificial intelligence?
None at all.
Well, that's what McLuhan said too.
None at all. That's imitation knowing. There's no such thing.
Yeah, how does the quote go? There's no such thing as artificial intelligence because artifice lacks intelligence. Or no?
Correct.
It lacks artifice and therefore intelligence.
To finish it out, well, my friend, I don't know if your problem is ignorance or ignorance or apathy, but quite for a matter of fact, I don't know and I don't care.
Just, can we talk about Norman Mailer?
Yes.
Ion, since I'm assuming that you're basically the devil,
come on, don't underestimate fucking Ion. I say he's a monster. He's he's M-O-N-S-T-R-E.
No,
not so gay.
Okay, generic sort of monster. Devil.
It's a monster. This is a monster.
How did you rate your Norman Mailer's account of you in his Castle in the Forest?
We don't.
You don't rate Mailer? You don't think he did a good job?
We don't care.
Andrew, the indifference is satanic. He does not care. This is
fair enough.
So try it another way. You don't get stunned.
For conventional humans, did Norman Mailer communicate any necessary awareness or percepts relative to relating to you as an entity?
To your what? What was the last word? Again, what is it?
Maybe.
Relative to your entity. Yeah, don't put too many words in it.
It's relatively short, Bob.
Yeah, try it again.
Did Norman Mailer convey any necessary perceptions or thought relative to understanding Ion's entity or non-entity?
Good
None
question.
at all whatsoever.
None at all whatsoever?
None at all whatsoever. It was all based on a fear-run dogma that was limiting to an individual coming into their place of power.
Yeah, Norman was pretty frustrated. I knew the guy. In the early chart.
Did you do any readings with Michael Jackson prior to his death?
Readings? You mean me?
No, Bob can't convey that information.
Hey, what are you talking about? The question is, did we do any readings with Michael Jackson before he was announced gone? Is that what you're asking, Andrew?
Yes.
No. What happened on June 25th, the day it was announced he died, in the middle of whatever we were doing, a private reading or our own session or a client, I suddenly announced that Michael Jackson was gone. And I had no interest in Michael Jackson, didn't think about him or anything. He announced it, but that was just a passing remark. And then later, after the session, I saw it on the Drudge Report. So the next day I asked Ion about it, and he said he didn't die. And that led to me and James doing a 6-hour interview of Ion where he laid out all the evidence to show that Michael Jackson did not die. He just went to the parallel world and where he was in India. That's all that happened. But there was no before June 25th, and Ion prompted it. And it was an appropriate prompting because through that we learned about parallel worlds. So I instigated that whole topic.
Good, Bob. And if he had have had engagement, Bob couldn't tell you because it would violate contract.
Oh, you mean a private reading? Right. Did we have a Did you mean that? Did you mean that, Andrew? Did he have a private reading with Ion? Question?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not allowed to tell. Shut up, Ion. I'm not allowed to tell who has readings. You know what I mean? It's confidential.
What? Nope. Private session, your alphabet.
Hey, Bobby! Wake up, Bobby! You're snoring again. Starting to snore. Wake up, Bobby. You're breathing. Ruining the soundtrack. Put your phone on mute.
I'm just reading your email that you sent me here now about Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, but you're breathing deeply, and it's going over the audio because you're in the conference call. So put your phone on mute while we're listening.
All right, then.
All right, then.
Okay, so we've got Tracy. You still on the phone, Tracy?
I am.
Okay, are you interested in what you're hearing from the conference with Ion?
Yes, but there were so many topics covered, you kind of have to throw a dart to figure out which one you want to comment on.
Yes, okay. There's 17 minutes left in this recording, so we'll save that for the next hour. So let's talk to you. You can talk about anything you want to mention or react to with what you've heard.
Well, there are a number of topics regarding what you just played, so we'll put that on hold for a moment. I called in primarily because I found it very ironic that Allison was calling in and in quick messaging, and I just randomly hit an archive and heard the Gaga Housewives episode with Allison and Sheila, where Allison had made some mention of an ex-boyfriend and said they needed Ion to step in, and just you guys happened to be on the line, and so Ion did in fact step in. Long and short of it was, I thought that was quite ironic that I had just heard that today in my now, in Allison's now, that it happened, whatever, a year or two ago. So that was why I was calling in primarily.
And you know why that synchronicity happens with you? Because you're very involved with Ion right now. You're listening to a lot. You're participating in the shows here. The more you participate, the more that kind of stuff happens. It's almost like Ion notices you, and you become aware of this anomalies. Yeah, see? That pays off to get involved.
Well, it's so fascinating, and I find very strange things happening. I'm sure you guys are used to all those strange things happening, but I put in a question to Dukes. I was just curious about the Eternals, and same thing happened upon a random 2010 archive, and it was like my exact question was answered. And I also came upon Ion saying at one point, saying, it doesn't matter that I'm speaking right in your now, right this second. If you're hearing it in the archive, it'll still apply.
Yeah. Now, a side issue here. Allison said she'd go for a walk and call in, and she hasn't called in. Come on, Allison. And, that's an hour and a half ago or something. What's with this hypocrisy? Blatant lying in the in-quick message. You're claiming you're going to get involved, and then you have to send in Tracy to build up the case for yourself because she overheard you earlier today. This is what I'm up against, Tracy. Your anomaly versus her resistance.
I just found that too ironic that I'd never heard that name before, had never heard her voice before, and that I had listened and I heard that. And I also heard Shane was leaving, so I said, well, I have to call in to make sure that you have somebody to bounce off all your brilliance with.
Yes, I do. I do require someone often. Wasn't it exciting, though, the first 10, 15 minutes? You loved that music. It just roared out. Did you grow up with that, or is that before your time?
Well, yes and no. Yes, it is before my time, but I have an older sister, and so I was exposed to that, but it was just kind of out there. But I also grew up listening to Chaume FM out of Montreal, so I had access to a lot of what they now call deep cut, but it was a lot of that cutting-edge music and none of the top 40, not none of the top 40, but very little of the top 40. I don't know if you listen to the Montreal station much in whatever, the late 70s, 80s. So I was familiar a little bit with it, but it was that time I was little and, they were all hippies and they were all on LSD and they going to have acid flashbacks, and their kids were all going to have chromosome damage. So that's the area I grew up in.
Right. So, but hearing it now, it's fresh for you. This time, it's like the first time you're hearing it. Yeah. But you have not heard it like this as an adult, ready to take it in without all the cultural baggage. You heard it for the first time tonight.
I very much put the 60s music in with 90s music, and I love 60s music and I love 90s music. I just jumped right in with the whole Nirvana and Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam, and that kind of raw sound reminded me a little bit of the experimentation going on in the 60s, so I just grabbed that 60s thing too and loved it.
I see. Let's just look at a comment here. Michael from South Africa says, a couple of years back I read that December 21st, 2012 was the most searched item on the Internet since 1997. If this is even vaguely true, it means human creators have been focusing on this moment for some time. I would agree with you, Michael. Yes, it's a meme, it's an archetype that it's not to be avoided. Human creators have had a lot to say about it with their words. What will the consequence of this possibly be? Tune into Payday. I'm in charge for a deeper peep into the mystery landscape. Yeah, we've been, another important point, I don't know if you know this, Tracy, is all the changes that people imagine happening in this period in 2012, Ion said happened last year. Are you aware of that point?
Yes, I heard specifically him say that, like a 1-year-old, you're already one when that first birthday arrives. So that's how he equated it. So I've been thinking that for some time now, that's what it's going to have to be, that we were in 2012 now.
Yeah, well, one of the dramatic events of 2012 is the release of our products, which are called The Terrible Crystal and Ezekiel 1:22. Read chapter 1, verse 22. Ion has said so much around that. This idea that something strange is going to happen on December 21st is like the idea of the terrible crystal. And men will shiver and timber at this, and other people will get blissed out. So you got the images of December 21st, meaning destruction, earthquakes, like Blaine the Blaine was doing with Bill's voice, and then you have those who are preparing to have a great party on December 21st. So the metaphor is the terrible crystal, Ezekiel 1:22. Now here's Allison. She says, "Hi Bob, I'm on the phone." Now, does that mean that she's busy on the phone with someone else? Hey, that's even worse, Allison. Come on, where's your priorities? Or does she mean she's calling in? Like, I don't see her. Her name hasn't come up. See, again, another ridiculous, ambiguous statement, Tracy. You see? Hi, Bob, I'm on the phone with a little smiley after it. What's that supposed to be?
We'll send her her grammar book. So she'll include a period. Unless she's on the phone with Sheila, then that's an excuse, but she has to tape it, so it'll be a 2012 edition of the Gaga Housewives.
That's right. She may be having a real crisis. She's been building up this hypocrisy factor so much over the last 2 hours. She might be having a disaster in her family happening right now. She can't get off the phone because of emergency measures and life and death issues. Hi,
Bob.
Now, who's this?
Allison.
How long so you meant by I'm on the phone that you were here?
Well, I was on Robert's line because I called in from the numbers that were on the email from you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Bill, as sharp as he is, intercepted the fact that I was on a line that wasn't live. So he just called me and told me to call back on a different line.
Well, very good. So you just got here. Well, Allison, kudos to you. You have a chance to correct a faux pas of your image that was just circulating the past 2 hours. First of all, did you hear Tracy talking about her whole synchronicity with your voice earlier today?
Well, here's what's so cool. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Allison.
Hi. I tuned in, and I think you were on the repeat of Ion with Angela.
Yes.
You know, whatever that.
Well, before Angela, it was the earlier part. Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't discern the segue into the real time, and so Tracy starts talking about hearing my voice, or hearing my name and your whole spiel, Tracy, and I was like, oh my God. It was another. This used to happen to me all the time with Ion.
Yeah,
where
right.
I would. That was kind of my thing. I would hear something. I would always listen remotely because I could rarely listen live, and it was this really fun PHUN experience of Ion saying something, and it was in my now moment, but it was a recording. Whatever you want to call that. So when I heard you saying that, I was completely in the at the understanding that this was something that was attached to the recording that Angela was doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit! It's happening again. From the depths of whatever you're, connecting to my now moment again with an old recording from when. So, no, I did not know this was what we might call the now moment. So it was pretty trippy.
Yeah. So you get that, Tracy? Not only did you have your synchronicity, she's been having it, and she called in to layer hers over yours.
I just find it all very fascinating. I have said this before to Bob, when you listen to the archives, there's a handful of people, as you guys said, there's always 11 listeners, and to hear you now, it just seems very strange, because I know so much of your backstory unintentionally, but I know so much history about everybody.
Yeah, she was quoting Alison, you talking about your ex-boyfriend. I remember that conversation on Gaga.
I don't really remember that. I thought that was a personal one with you. Did we put something up I don't know about? What was I talking about? My ex-boyfriend that he was...
It was, I don't know, it wasn't, it was personal, but it was part of the recording. It wasn't too revealing, but it was something, I kept thinking it was your present boyfriend. Yeah, go ahead, Tracy. What is it?
You had mentioned something just in passing about an ex-boyfriend of Sheila's, and 15 minutes later, Sheila got a text that said, hey. I think the ex-boyfriend's name was Nick. And then all of a sudden, something along with, and then you guys all of a sudden started going, whoa, that was weird. That was really weird. And we need Ion here to clarify the situation. And you guys were either still on some line, and Bob was getting ready for a session, and then all of a sudden Ion just popped in and was like, hey, y'all.
You remember that, Allison? We called in accidentally because we were going to record, and you guys, we didn't know, were using the line. And we called in about a minute after you said, we need Ion right now. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was really cool. I was under the impression you were talking about my ex-boyfriend, Tracy, and I'm like, I don't know.
No, we were. No, we're talking about Sheila. I think it's Rock. Yeah. I remember that. She gets a text while you guys are recording about
Rock? Him. It's hard to keep track of her boyfriends.
I know, Yeah. Well, she's got a constant one now. She has found her man. She has found the one that is the best thing. And you know why he is? You know what the measurement, the test was? He can make her laugh. That's what she said. All the other boyfriends, she had to make them laugh, and they didn't make her laugh. But this guy, he's a professional radio entertainer, and he can do amazing imitations. He makes her laugh. She wanted someone to make her laugh, so she didn't have the burden of making them laugh.
Is it Michael that she met in Charleston?
No, wait a minute, Allison. What did you say, Allison?
I said there were many more stories than that I heard, but that is, I mean, I'm just so happy for her.
Right. You mean you've heard other reasons why he's number one for a long time?
Not necessarily why he's number one. I would say why the rest of them weren't congruent with No,
they were
back on it.
Yeah, they were just imperfect practice.
And Bob knew that firsthand from talking to her, saying, "Are you kidding, Sheila?"
Yeah, that's right.
That Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah. So Tracy, now you said something in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to repeat it?
I remember. I was just saying when she moved to Charleston, I've been to Charleston so many times, and I just love Charleston. And then at some point in time, you started getting calls and inquicks from a guy from Charleston. So you guys were speculating that was Sheila's new beau. So I didn't know how that turned out.
No, we didn't. That didn't get resolved, and I don't think it was him. He's not involved with our show. He's too busy managing his own show and his audience.
The cool thing I thought they did was that, I don't know how well known this is, but that blurb where he photographed Sheila on the YouTube to when Ginny sent out the recent request for plugs for this new show that you're doing. I think that's what it was. And Charlie videoed.
Oh yes, he made the funny. He imitated Bill Clinton.
Oh, is that what he was doing?
Okay, I hope you can stay, Allison. We're going to get an intellectual or whatever, a knowing conversation if you can stay. Can you hang out?
Sure. Yeah, I can.
Okay. Well, we'll get on some other topics. Thank you. Here we go.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Hang on, Tracy.
Are you or someone you love struggling with stress, anxiety, or less than perfect health? Hi, this is Pastor Ginny, and as a woman of faith, I spent many of my years in ministry burdened with anxiety and fear. In 2010, I met Dr. Carolyn Dean and took her recommendation to try RNA drops. Within days of taking RNA drops, my anxiety disappeared, and my confidence came back for good. And the peace of mind that I once called a miracle has now become normal.
Very good. That was Devil with the Blue Dress by Mitch, Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. And before that, a band called Count 5 with their song Psychotic Reaction. And that's from 1966. What an amazing year that was. And you know what's interesting is that was the countdown to Ryder returning to Plane of Essence. Old Ralph Doobie was over here in Hawaii trying to start a cult with the Cosmic Awareness channelings. And Dave Wurster would have none of it and stayed away and stayed back in Seattle. And old Ralph Doobie in January 22nd succumbed to many heart attacks, January 22nd, 1967, and marched his sorry ass, back to the Plane of Essence, to the glory of Isis, and Ryder was no more, and all principalities started to collapse, and which has been plagiarized and mollified and trivialized by J.K. Rowling. Trying to retrieve the ISIS empire, becoming the richest woman in the world. But we have Bob here describing actually what did happen on the most profound levels, and if anybody is willing and capable of discussing the ramifications of that with their own experience in the heart of San Francisco, that is our own present guest, Allison. Allison.
I heard Carolyn laughing in the background.
You should hear that. Yeah, that's a great soundtrack there from Dr. D, Dr. Carolyn Dean, the present candidate for ISIS of the Year. So, Allison, we got Tracy here. She's a good thinker. She could talk. Well, let's start off this way. Allison, it's been a year without apparent access to ION for you. What's it been like for a year? We haven't talked that much this past 12 months. What's it been like without ION?
That's a good question. But I am thoroughly enjoying all the archiving you're doing, but this is really the first time I've listened in months. So, but to hear ION recant some of what was said, and I love the particular one with Angela tonight, having met Angela in person.
Yes. Oh, when did that happen? Is that a meeting that happened recently?
Yeah, remember you might not remember this. It was, I don't, because timing and time is the way it is, it's very interesting trying to recall a vector point, a triangulation, which I have to segue for 1 second. The last Fringe of last Friday night with the LSD trip and all that stuff. Very interesting point about that I heard loud and clear about triangulation. Did you hear that? Did you watch it yet?
Carolyn, you're going to have to take your headphone off if you don't want to ruin it. So Carolyn's going to stop listening. Let's talk about it. What did you notice? Tell me.
Oh, sorry, Carolyn. I won't say anything big. It's just that they bring up triangulation as a very key point in finding, they're on this quest to find the plan that Walter set out.
That's right. Walter says the word triangulation, doesn't he? He instructs them they must triangulate.
Many of that, everybody's talking about the triangulation. This is where you're going to find the kind of the key, and all I could hear when I heard that was ion. Triangulation, and there it was. A very key point
Here's a couple of themes in the earlier part of the season, which Carolyn's seen and Carolyn talked about, so we can go into it. Just to make sure you notice, did you hear the discussion on the fact that the watchers require less oxygen? Have you noted that?
Yes.
And that's what Ian says is coming to us with this change in the atmosphere. So the dramatic point of the lifestyle of the watchers is an ionic point. That's theme one. Have you heard Ion talk? Walter and them talk about pH.
Yes.
The altered pH. He mentions it in episode 2 or 3 of this season. That's another major factor in the creation of the bread of the living water and the bread of life. So when he makes a statement about on a knowledge level, it's always ionic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was even able to, and Tracy, I don't know if you're still on the call, but this would, maybe you've heard archives, but this wouldn't necessarily mean that much to you. But for me to say to Bob, my husband, who is not ionically, what would you call it?
Disposed.
Well, he's exposed by...
No, disposed.
Yeah, disposed. Okay, correct. But Tracy, if she's still here, or Bob, when I always bring this up, when I had a session with Ion, from reading to session, by the way, but when I had the session with Ion, and he's saying, Dave, who's my husband, he really gets it.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah, waiting for him to say, and you get it too, Allison. He's like, no, Allison, you don't get it. He really gets it. So, and this is without any exposure and anything. So I always remember that when I see Dave's response to anything. But he knows how I've related to the whole Ion scenario. I mean, he's watched the Gagas and all that stuff because he lives in the same house. But the thing was, he is actually acknowledging and picking up. I'm able to say when I watch something on Fringe, do you remember me talking about triangulation? Remember how ionic this is? And he's like, yeah. And he's not adverse to it at all. It's quite lovely that he may just be doing it for me because that's who he is. But at the same time, I know something came through, and it didn't really matter that I knew about it because Ion already knew.
Yeah.
And Dave already knew, and it didn't need. There's nothing that needed substantiation. It's just kind of fun to watch when we're watching Fringe, which he will be like, okay, it's on, let's go watch. And he's a mountain man. He's not a TV hound. So it's really quite fun. I find that series so monumental. It's just huge. And the fact that it's on Fox TV is so cool.
Right. So it is huge, the big themes, but this season I don't find Peter and Olivia can emote to each other
beyond a wooden level. Have you noticed that?
Well, you're talking about episodes. I would say I see it more so because he is Carolyn listening? Has she watched it yet?
Yeah, she's watched it up to about episode 3.
Well, he throughout the series he turned into a watcher. Of course he's not going to emote.
No, I don't mean that. The emotions that Olivia, when she tries to have problems, when she has problems and gets concerned, she doesn't do well at expressing it. To me, and Carolyn agrees, that it's boring, and she's not good at making dramatic facial expressions or something. What do you think,
Here's what I would bring up. One of the examples of why that is, I think it's calculated. And one of the recent episodes remember when she was talking to the black woman when she was trying to get the truck with the big magnet?
Yeah.
And she was talking to that woman, and the woman was amazingly good at emoting and talking about, her mother had told her for years, you have to keep this space open or whatever it was. This woman's going to come and want this magnet for whatever. And Olivia very calculatedly, coldly is saying to her, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but if you've seen what I've seen, I've got to be a cold bitch because this world sucks. She's not happy with, she's lost her kid, and she's very much guarded. And I don't usually get into characters.
I'm talking about between Olivia and Peter. So go ahead, Carolyn.
Yeah, but she can't be anybody different. Carolyn, is that you?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, what I was thinking was J.J. Abrams just doesn't know how to incorporate Ion's discussion about emotion as a force field. So he makes people detached, and he can't quite make it come across. I think that's what's happening.
That very well be.
They don't do normal emotion. They're very detached, and competent in their jobs. And then when they have a personal problem, a love thing going on between them, they try to pretend they care.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Well, I can see that being two different things. You're saying that because J.J. Abrams is part of the creation, he's reflecting that in the characters, and that's how he's directing the scenario. I was looking at it as part of the almost, what's the word?
The damage.
AI.
The damage.
What?
The damage in their being from when she took drugs as a kid, and he being a weirdo from another world.
Right. I think maybe they're pointing out that because of the hardening that's occurred, in this no time space of 25 years or 30 years that we didn't see them develop. And she was actually like that before. She wasn't really. So I could kind of understand why you would think that too, Carolyn, where I could see it in the beginning. It was like I always wanted them to have a little bit more relationship to each other that was a little juicier because
it was understandable though. I think they portrayed it well then, but actually jumping a bit to the end of the series, Allison doesn't know about Jamie.
How do you know? Did you hear the show last week?
No, she hasn't been listening.
Jamie? Oh, no, I haven't listened at all on your shows. What's up?
Well, we did a 5-hour interview last week with an old friend of ours from Toronto.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I sent you an email saying, oh, my God, I can't believe I got this on Friday morning, and it aired Thursday night, right?
Right. So
I was so pissed because I was like, shit, I would have watched that or listened to that in a minute, and I hoped it was archived.
All shows are archived. Yeah, it was part of the show.
Well, okay, Carolyn, I will listen to that because I thought.
But wait a minute. What do you think? Why is it significant to you? You don't know anything about it.
That's true, but I was hoping it was pretty cool because it was somebody who's a member of Fringe.
Oh, okay, you got that. So you'll understand. Yeah. Here's what it is. A guy that I had a problem with in Club 22 and had to ban him hadn't spoken to him in 22 years. He calls me up a few weeks ago because he's visiting Maui. We get talking, and we find out that he is the guy that Walter's battling against. He is going to play the head of the Watchers.
You just cut out. I was going to say no fucking way. You just cut out. Is Bill messing with us?
No, I didn't. What? You didn't hear my sentence?
On my end, you just went dead. So he's the guy who Walter's going to mess with in the Watchers?
Walter is battling the Watchers. The leader of the Watchers, we're going to find out in the last 3 episodes in January, all right? The big ending of the series, 5-year series, the leader of the Watchers is James Kidney, the guy that I had a fight with.
Wow. Wow.
In other words, Walter...
outrageous.
That's right. Walter is me, and he's going to, everybody says he looks like me and all that stuff. So here's Walter going to have to deal with the head of the Watchers. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. They're going to reveal the head of the Watchers and what his whole issue is. And it's with a guy who literally I had an issue with 22 years ago. Personally.
Oh my God. So how did this play out when you talked to him?
Well,
wait, Bob. I got to tell this one. About 3 hours, Allison, into the show, James is playing Scrabble with some unknown character and comes back on and says he put down the word drippy to some unknown character unknown person on his iPhone for just playing in between the shows.
Just waiting during the break.
And the unknown person comes back and says Ion.
Are you talking about James Martinez or James in Australia?
No, James Kidney, the guy who's going to James Kidney.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
During a break in our interview, he has a new iPhone and he's playing computer Scrabble or something, and he puts in a word, and the anonymous virtual thing he's playing with, his answer is ION.
Oh my God. Okay, Tracy. You know what I was doing when you were talking about me being on the thing? I was playing Scrabble on my iPhone. I just have to add that into this equation. I love playing Scrabble against the computer on my iPhone. Just tell me, guys.
Well, that's appropriate. So that's why you missed the show, so you could call in tonight and add to the resonance of Jamie getting Ion. Ion. So, and then in the 5th hour, you will hear something happen. James is totally distracted by his car horn starts beeping.
Ion.
Yes, and we broadcasted for 15 minutes. We just all sat here and listened to Jamie trying to get some neighbors to cut the wire to help it because he's on holiday over here all day and all that. And we just broadcast the whole drama.
Well, so let me just quickly ask: was he an actor when you met him?
Yes. He's the only actor I met and got involved with in Toronto in the 80s. And he became you'll hear it all spelled out in the interview. We do 5 hours.
Wow.
And there's this whole dramatic thing. I won't give you all the details. And it is so what happened while he was here in Maui, once I realized I could have not answered the phone or not talked to him, keeping the old grudge going. But for some reason I wanted to find out what happened to everybody that he would be able to tell me about. That I had heard about. So he filled me in a lot of details in a private conversation. And then it turned out that he wanted the RNA drops because he's been listening to our show for at least a year. He's very up on what we're doing. He's been tracking me and Carolyn. And so the next day I realized, shit, we've got to get the RNA drops in him when he plays the last episode.
Oh, my
we did
God. Oh, my God. Be sure to give him Realiner. He's gonna OD.
We didn't get it. We just sent him the RNA drops. We don't mind if he ODs. There's still issues here, But anyways, the point is. So here's the punchline.
When I met Chad we were in Vancouver, and when I met Chad and Angela, I was laughing so hard because Sheila and I, the way we take RNA drops is we got tired of seeing how many drops it was. We just like shoot the whole thing in our mouth, right?
Yeah.
Chad, and I love this because there could be some testimonial that could work for this somewhere, but Chad's like, are you fucking kidding me? I have to know exactly how many drops I'm going to get. Otherwise, I'm just like fucked.
Is that right?
Yes, he had to know. He had to know exactly how many drops, and then I don't know if it was power of suggestion, but after that, I was like, whoa, maybe I better check out how many I'm doing. Maybe that's why I'm reeling, at midnight for some extraneous reason that I didn't think about. And so it was kind of funny. But now I did notice that I had to cut back.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if our chemistry, our makeup, or whatever might meet a certain quotient. And the coolest thing is you just need to listen to your system. It's your system. You adjust to your system. That's all it is. And that's part of it, personal empowerment. Adjust to your system. Don't let somebody else tell you how many drops to take. 5 in the morning, 5 at night. No, you need 25 in the morning and 25 at night. Or you need 1.
Yeah.
But, you figure it out. You take your power back and you figure it out as to what works for you. But I thought it was so funny that Chad was, we were so juxtaposed in this, and I was like, oh my God, I'm thinking he could take like 5 droppers.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the experience.
Okay, anyway. Back to this point. You're right about that. So here you have, I am influencing how this series ends.
Always.
Right, always was. And now and I told Jamie, he doesn't know anything about Fringe. He never watched it. I felt that he knew we were interested in it because he heard us talk about it on the show, but he didn't pay attention. So he doesn't even know the context of this significance. He doesn't know that he's going to be famous. This series will go on to be cinematic TV history, because it's unique.
You don't think that he had some excitement when they called him in for the reading or whatever, and he got the job?
No, we talk about all that. All those details are discussed last week, how he got the job. It's just agent just said, okay, be over in Vancouver, do this next thing, because he gets lots of gigs, so this is just another gig. Mm-hmm. And but the great thing is that however, he's recorded the third last episode and the second last episode. That's done before he came here. And he could have had his trip interrupted if they called him over immediately, but it worked out. He was here for a couple of weeks. Then he goes back today. Tuesday. Yesterday. He went back to the office. He went in there on yesterday, to prepare for recording the final episode. But he is on the RNA drops. That's going to influence how he acts, how he is, how he wants to project his character. So we will be able to say over the next millennia that we created that final scene. See that guy there that's acting the Watch Your Head? He's on RNA drops. That's going to be a powerful statement.
If he remembers any of his lines.
Wait, Alison, let's hear Tracy. What, Tracy?
I said if he can remember any of his lines or cares if he shows up.
That's right. He may be altered.
That's funny.
He may be not act right. He may notice he's off or something. Yeah, we'll see. What is the meaning? Am I supposed to destroy him as part of this ongoing thing from 22 years ago, or is he supposed to fulfill his role for Club 22, which he never did back then? He did not fulfill his important role. It seemed it wasn't back then, but he did show up to do this.
Bob, holding no grudges. Well, what I was going to say was that maybe what if the opportunity here is that this is the opening for the RNA drops, and you call J.J. Abrams, or you contact them and you go, okay, here's what's up.
But you know what we say about Allison, about that? We don't care if anybody like that big name hears about it. It wouldn't work. It just doesn't. We don't know if that would work. They might get a bad reaction. Yeah. We're not interested. Yeah, who knows? Whatever happens will happen. I'm not even going to think about it. Yes, you can talk about, speculate. Something might happen. This is meant to be in some way. But who cares? There's too many other. Have you heard the testimonials?
Who cares?
Yeah, have you heard the testimonials that are coming out lately?
Of what? RNA drops?
Yeah.
No.
I think I should play you one.
No, I'm kidding.
Let me. What'd she say, Carol? Oh no, you want to care about this. This is what we're experiencing. It's what human beings are getting from this. And I think I'm going to play you one right now. Now, how do I bring it up? Let's see. Go over here. I want to play you an incredible testimonial we just got. So click on this. Go into the Ion folder. Ion edits. RNA drops Sherry's testimonial. Bring that out. And then it should... you should be able to start it. This is a few minutes long, but let's see, Allison, if you find this interesting. Are you ready, Allison?
I'm ready, Bob.
Okay, so this is a few days ago. Person just trying out the testimonial, the RNA drops.
Hi, my name is Sherry Sasson. I'd like to leave a testimony of me using the RNA drops. Let's see. Yeah, it's a renew. And he had a big wound on his back foot, and it was like a half-inch to a quarter-inch deep, and for 5 years.
Okay, is somebody, Allison or Tracy, not on mute and making background noises? Everybody's got me on mute. Okay, Allison?
On mute.
Yeah, be on mute, and it's a dog. I'm going to restart over again.
Okay.
She's talking about a dog. I don't know what I don't think that was on the recording. It's not good to have any sound. So let's start over again.
Hi, my name is Sherry Sasson. I'd like to leave a testimony of me using the RNA drops. I think it's the Align. Let me check real quick here. Let's see. Yeah, it's the Renew. I have a dog, a bull mastiff, and he had a big wound on his back foot, and it was like a half-inch to a quarter-inch deep, and it's been that way for 5 years. He's been licking on this area. I've had wet wraps, dry wraps, antibiotics. I've had bag balm. I'm bag balm with antibiotics.
Okay.
And now he's gained all.
Okay, I get knocked off, Allison, and I stopped the recording.
Yeah, you got knocked off. I didn't hear anything after she was talking fine, and then it just got knocked off.
Right. So then she never came back on?
She did come back on just about 2 seconds ago.
Okay, I'm going back again, go back a bit and get this clear. It was clear for a while there, wasn't it, for about 30 seconds?
Yeah, it was, and then all of a sudden it stopped, and then we had some music from Bill, I think. So.
Okay, so the story will go repeat. Here we go.
On mute.
Yeah.
Like a half-inch to a quarter-inch deep, and it's been that way for 5 years. He's been licking on this area. I've had wet wraps, dry wraps, antibiotics. I've had bag balm. I'm bag balm with antibiotics. Any kind of nasty thing to keep his mouth off it. I've tried the cones and everything to keep his mouth off it and to heal it. And I asked if I could use the RNA drops, and they suggested I don't. And I thought, well, this will be the death of this dog if I don't. So it was my last resort, and it's only been like 2 weeks. I've been every other day or so. I'll shake some of that on his wound, and I'll rub it in. And now he's gained all of his meat and the muscle. Before you could see his tendons, it's really gross. And it's about 4 inches long and maybe 2 inches wide. And now the top portion is starting to develop like skin and hair, and where the big hole is, it still needs to form hair, but I believe that it's going to be healed in no time at all. And I'm going to take pictures of it as we go along the progress, and I'm so excited. And also, I have my hair is growing. I've got sprigs of hair on the top of my head, and my nails are growing, and I have so much energy. It's unbelievable. I've done like raking and pulling nuts off my grass that take me walnuts off the lawn. It takes me about a week. I've done that all in a day, and cut grass and chopped wood and beat out a whole truckload of wood and went and got more. So I'm able to do much more. I had panic attacks from deep depression. I was 28 years of marriage and found myself alone after my mother had passed, and never been alone in my own house. Had panic attacks waking me up and during the day interrupting my day. And since I've been on the RNA drops, so it was the first thing that I noticed, that I have energy, I'm full of life, and I have no more panic attacks and nothing but good things to look forward to. So thank you so much, and I can't wait for the next new development to occur with my and my dog's body. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, Allison, there's no placebo there if the dog's cells are regrowing.
Well, that's really cool, because what I was thinking about was what Ian used to say, is that our animals are basically our non-physical.
Yeah.
Mimicking us in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I remember when my dog attempted to eat this other dog, and they're like, well, yeah, that's your energy. It was quite funny. If Tracy's still listening, that was a long time ago. But anyway, and that was a private session. But what's so cool is, she said many great things. But what I found really interesting is, if her animals are exhibiting this kind of rejuvenation, my interpretation is that it's without the heavy filters or heavy dross that the human, computer mind has already created, that we have to break through. That if you've got the non-physical animals just being pretty on the surface, transparent, reflecting your issues, you're going to see them making a much faster progress necessarily than you might. But you can also equate that to, wow, if it's going to do that in my animal, oh, holy crap, this is great for me. But
right, I'm thinking, and you're making a good point, Allison, you're making a good point, that the dog's leg and terrible wound is healing because she's getting better. The dog's responding to her getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Exactly, because they're a reflection of our non-physical. Ian always said that.
Yeah. So the cellular knowledge may not apply to them. Her cells are being created, new perfect cells being created, and it's manifested in the dog. So you actually made a good point. This may be an example of non-physical responding to the human getting changed.
Absolutely, it is. In my world, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anything you want to say about this, Tracy?
Yes. In addition to that, I remember just pieces here and there of Ion saying that we will become so changed per our pH that we will be able to breathe on things and they will feel the benefits, which retrospectively, I think if you listen to all the sewage remarks, that may have come into play, but, we breathe on things. And on that note, I think it would be interesting to have maybe Matthew put up a world map of who's buying, the drops.
Yeah, good idea.
Where are the people consuming the drops, and should we just go stand out in the front yard and breathe on everything.
Yeah, like in Ed Long's information farm, at the bottom it has the spots of people using the computer linking to his site. So we can make that kind of map of people drinking RNA drops all over the world. That's a very good idea. We'll tell Matthew that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And we just breathe out into the world and see what happens. And maybe, as in the woman's testimonial, maybe, like you said, it's her well-being just rubbing off on the pooch, and we will become so powerful, or our, whatever pH gets lowered to that new undiscovered realm, that we just stand around and breathe.
Okay, what I'd like to add, though, is we'd have to know from Sherry how long she was taking the RNA drops before
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
No, the dog was given the Renew for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
But how long was she taking the RNA drops? Because that would give us an indication, like if it was just her and her RNA drops breathing on the dog, he should have been shifting, maybe earlier, and the Renew probably did something on top of what she's breathing on him. So we'll have to find that out.
Yeah.
That's our doctor speaking.
Yeah. Can't help it.
The left hemisphere mathematician.
Exactly. That's like, you're married to Carolyn, I'm married to Dave. Show me the process that's repeatable in the physics world, and I can support it.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about this. What we learned from McLuhan, that this idea that if you repeat an experiment and it has the same results, you know why that came in with the printing press? That notion, it never occurred to humans to have something be called truthful if it repeated itself. But it became a meme of importance because it was the first time human beings had a product, a printed book, that repeated itself when it was remade, when it was printed. It was the first time something was copied and made to be the same. So the actual repeat mechanism of the printing press became a big picture meme, and science decided, changed from being medieval alchemy to, if you can repeat this thing, you're like the book, and the book is our God, and therefore it's true.
That is so clear. That is so clear. And that is so obviously wrong. What is the basis for that? Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a very profound McLuhan point that I've never heard anybody point out. I've studied him enough that I eventually noticed that. I really understood it. And he used to talk about the repeat cliche of the Gutenberg era, and I thought that was just a similar, but actually realized that this big pedestal that science has been on for a couple of 100 years is they're just servo mechanisms of the repeat cliche of the printing press. And that's why that's falling apart, and they're just getting nothing but anomalies at CERN and all these big labs, because they're beginning to see that nothing does repeat, and that's what happens in the electric era. Nothing repeats. It's too much.
That's the insanity of the entire, the educational system, let's call it that.
Yeah.
There's a more sophisticated word for it, but, where, okay, you base everything on the fact that it has to be repeated in this particular science, and this, all of those. And then you end up with, well, if there's an anomaly, it's not repeatable or whatever, what are we going to base anything on? Now what do we do? And there's
That's right. That's why science will... There is a book, yes, I asked David about it, called The End of Science, 5-10 years ago. Some guy, a physicist, something said, I think we've run the extent of this meme. And we know from ION that they're doing all kinds of experiments at CERN with the particle, the Hadron Collider, and they're getting anomalies that they do not tell their funders about, because the funders are just normal materialist guys who just want some cliche results, and they don't want to lose their funding. But they are undeniably...
experiment.
What?
It has to be repeatable, or within the parameters of what we have deigned, real, doesn't occur anymore. And that the whole cool point is, and that's why the whole fringe thing and all this stuff is just the greatest thing ever that it's saying to science. it's bombarding science and the basic theories that they have based everything upon, saying you cannot be static anymore. You have got to be, physics was always the cutting edge of the sciences anyway. But when I would talk to Dave, he would argue with me, there's got to be a constant somewhere, or we have no basis for where we're heading. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? What if there is no constant, and you get to create something, you get to observe something that is way beyond the staticness of the parameters that we've imposed on our current society and our current knowledge base,
Yeah, and you can't even repeat. You can't even repeat wealth and put it, listen to this, you can't even repeat wealth and put it in a bank and trust that the bank won't be hacked and some anomaly takes the money away from you. You can't even base an economy on the repeat cliche anymore. See, that's what we've gotten. And here's the profound part. McLuhan saw that 400 years of repeat cliche was caused by the printing press, and he predicted that the electric media will create a multi-level, discontinuous, heterogeneous, chaotic world, because that's what happens when you extend tactility. And most people, the population, the pop culture, has adapted to that with their crazy music, their crazy new age ideas, all the crazy bizarre behavior that people do. They're not waiting for science to prove something constant. They're adapting to the electronic effect. And it's even run its course, and now people don't know what to adapt to, and that's when ion shows up. But the mystery landscape to be known.
Which is the only landscape that there is, because it's unlimited. You cannot, we are not able to live in a limited perspective anymore and grow.
Right. Yeah. Or survive.
Okay.
Right. Maybe growing is surviving, but you don't survive.
Well, I wanted to discuss with you guys, I don't want to divert too much, and you can call us back, Bob, if you want to go back here for this thing. But you know the word apocalypse?
Yeah.
Have you guys discussed this?
Well, the important thing is many people think apocalypse is the battle of Armageddon. It isn't. Apocalypse means revelation, where there's no secrets anymore. Do you understand that?
I was just going to read it because it's so poignant to me right now, where everybody's, as you said, they're equating Armageddon to apocalypse, and it's apocalypse.
It's apocalypse. Right, it's not the same thing. So read what you wanted to read.
Apocalypse, translated literally from Greek, is a disclosure of knowledge, hidden from humanity in an era dominated by falsehood and misconception, a lifting of the veil or revelation, although this sense did not enter English until the 14th century. In religious context, it is usually a disclosure of something hidden. In the Revelation of John, the last book of the New Testament, the revelation which John receives is that of the ultimate victory of good over evil and the end of the present age, and that is the primary meaning of the term, one that dates to 1175. Today, it is commonly used in reference to any prophetic revelation or so-called end-time scenario, or to the end of the world in general. Is that amazing?
That is very appropriate to 2 days before December 21st, and it is exactly what ion is. Ion, I've always said, is bigger than ET contact. Ion is the apocalypse, the disclosure of the mystery landscape to make it known for everybody. That's what ion's been. And the effects of the RNA drops are so incredible, and the making of it in the factory, it's way beyond what a patent could describe. The actual mutations that goes on with the product as we make it, we're now up in the 75th, 76th generation, are so awesome that science wouldn't even be able to begin to understand what this stuff is. We just go with it, and we manufacture and put it out there, and it has stronger effects. But that's because ion revealed it to us. The apocalypse is ion, and that's why I say I'm the Howard Cosell over the last 5 weeks. I'm the last voice, the last anthropomorphic voice talking about what we're going to happen in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's very appropriate that we get near the end of the show with that definition. Very good timing.
Thank you.
Do you think of ion when you read that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lifting of the veil, revelations, the fact that it was a disclosure.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's huge. And the whole ionic thing, I loved it. I don't need RNA drops, but the acceleration, and Ion was always saying this, you don't need anything. You need nothing. Right. But they did say, and I always refer to them as they did say, there is a benefit, and they wouldn't even have meant it in a good way. It's just an acceleration. That's probably a better word. There's an acceleration of your acceptance of your empowerment.
Yeah.
That will be created when you partake in this bread of living water, because you're syncing up your DNA, your makeup, your
genome.
You know what I mean?
Genome.
Your makeup.
Your genome.
Your molecular structure. You're going to sync that up in a way that has an advantage at this time of this alignment that we're going to reach at 2020 or 12/21.
Right now, have you been enjoying, Alison? Have you been enjoying the clips? We've played amazing clips the last few months where Ian's describing how the RNA drops work with the tuning fork metaphor and the magnetic base. Did you listen to that stuff?
I didn't listen to it, but I created a whole clothing line about the whole thing about syncing up to a frequency of a particular resonance.
Okay, here it is.
Will accelerate.
Here's why you require RNA drops as opposed to not requiring them. The world is changing. The history made people want to have this change. It's coming, and your body won't be able to take it. And so you're not lining up with something. You're just tuning your body to something that's going on.
Exactly.
I don't want to say it's a law of attraction of lining up. You're not waiting to get there. You need to get yourself resonating differently to handle the change that has happened. So the RNA drops is apparently the only way to do it.
Well, I would support that wholeheartedly. I do support it wholeheartedly, and I take them every day. And the other thing is, we have examples of Atlantis when people did not know how to sync up to whatever the frequency change was occurring. And you blew up. You
know what? You know that Atlantis didn't happen yet.
Well,
that's what might happen. That'll happen to those that can't take what's happening now. I say they will die. There will be a mass death of people.
Well, and to me, it's all happening at once. So I don't know how you can say it hasn't happened. But
no, it's not happening at once. It already happened, and it didn't happen at once. It already happened in many infinite ways of angles and perspective. You can't keep it in a box.
That's your point?
You can't. At once, if it smacks of the box, then that's not accurate.
Right. You have to keep it outside of any parameters and allow for it to just be in that vector position. Triangulation, really.
Triangulation sounds visual. You don't want to take a visual image of it. Don't take a visual snapshot of it.
That's probably because I'm visual. I'm not mathematical.
No, you're an American.
Translating that.
You're an American. You're an American. All Americans are visual. That's our bias. That's even the native peoples who are acoustic by nature, they're visualized by roads, by linear industrial cities, and all the linear structures that we have in North America makes you visually oriented. You can't escape it, regardless of where you come from.
Yeah.
And that's the very sensibility that allowed breakthroughs in science. It created an industrial base, and then we had all this new post-industrial technologies. So McLuhan always pointed out that the North American sensibility is totally ill-equipped to handle the technology and the environments it created. The technology that America created undermines the American sensibility, and that's why America is the basket case cop of the world now.
But at the same time, I think mainly the way that things are created, aside from that position, is really not within our entire world anyway. I don't know that any society was any different than the American society as far as creating something different. You know,
so what was it? What was the previous side? You said versus
Italy, you're going to go whatever.
The what one as opposed to America? Which one?
I was just saying that I don't think any society on the planet is necessarily any more equipped to.
No, you're right. No society is equipped for this extension of tactility. That's true. Nobody is. But America created the technology that made this unpredictable situation, and it likes to be the leader of it. And its various sensibility and expertise that help create the world is the very limitation that undermines how to appropriate. Now, you can't go to other cultures to get a better bias. None of them work. But most of the world looks to America.
Yeah. Yeah, we're speaking the same language because anything of this world really is basically inequipped to deal with the off-world formulas that are what Ian is talking about.
Exactly.
That's simplistic. That's not even accurate. There's no off.
Yeah, look at the page of Finnegan's Wake. The page of Finnegan's Wake shows you what we're trying to say. So, Tracy, thank you for being here. Thank you, Allison. We got 15 seconds left. I wish you would come back more often, Allison. You have a lot of good stuff to say. So try to tune in occasionally and come on and speak.
Have a good night, Bob.
All right, well, see, call in 2 days. Join me on the big 40-foot, 60-foot wave we're surfing in 48 hours.
Yeah. Nice chatting with you, Allison.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. Bye.
Bye, Allison.
Bye, Tracy.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Bob.
Bye.
You can get it hunting, get it riding. You can get it cutting a crop. A big, big thirst needs a big, big beer, and the big, big beer is Gold Top. You can get it dancing, get it romancing, get it doing nothing at all. A big, big thirst needs a big, big beer, and the big, big beer is Gold Top. Gold Top brewed by Belinda.